Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, theys, who's, anyone, doesn't matter. It's an exciting day. Football has arrived. It is what I like to call Christmas in early August. Training camp has started. Hall of Fame game is this week. And that officially means the power ranking show for Missing the Point is back. It's the real BK Bob Kelly here, as always, DK Sizzle, and special guest. I don't even know if we're going to call it a special guest this year. Rayshawn is in the house. It feels good to have you on the show.
I feel like
welcome in, man. Welcome.
I feel like, listen, this is an honor for me. Like, once again, you guys have taken this and ran with it throughout the year. It's become a staple of this podcast. So I am beyond happy to be a part of the Power Ranking crew. Once again, you'll hear this crew again a lot in October for other reasons, but right now, like I said, this is really cool to be a part of this group right now doing this. So let's get to it.
Yeah, man. Really happy to have you for another season of me doubting the Chiefs and DK telling me all season that the Chiefs are really good and them winning another goddamn Super Bowl.
I thought he said earlier. I'm like, damn, I said you're already in full swing.
Oh yeah, bro. He's
football
ready.
season. You don't take prisoners here.
Yeah, we don't. This podcast
basketball season. All the different sports are directly related to how you watch a sport. You know, where the way we do basketball, it's all very flowy. We're all trying to, play make for each other.
Yeah,
talk about different styles
in the corner. Yeah, exactly.
Oops. But football season, you take no fucking prisoners. You're either right or you're a fucking asshole. So it's just it is what it is. And yeah, the doubting the Chiefs was a bold run.
Yeah, it wasn't. Didn't work out, man.
Real hipster take, quite frankly.
But it wasn't really. I don't know if it was doubting the Chiefs more as like, I guess it kind of was, yeah. But I mean, spoiler alert: the Chiefs are really fucking good, and they won another Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes is unreal. And yeah, I mean that's really where we start off the 2023 NFL season. A lot happened in the offseason. Before we really get into ranking the teams, a good rundown here. Just want to ask you, what's your biggest storyline for the offseason? And what do you think kind of implications it's going to have on the season, DK?
It's Rodgers getting the fuck out of my division, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
right?
I hate to take the easy one. I had a backup prepared in case somebody else went first, but I'm so glad he's gone. Like at the end of the day, like I can be bullish about it and I can talk shit and I can be like, whatever, fuck that guy and he's a dick and like da 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 da. But at the end of the day, like when he did come out and play against us, like he did fucking destroy us for his entire career in Green Bay. So I'm hoping that the dogfight that's now going to happen between the rest of the teams in the NFC North, the Bears come out on top. But at least we have a fighting chance now. Like nobody's really stepped up and decided to claim like the elite status in my division. There is going to be like a reckoning, a quickening to try to find the new king of the NFC North. And I do think that we have the most talented quarterback, which is usually sort of the guy who comes and dominates. Now, that being said, there's points you could make about Kirk Cousins and the Vikings in the regular season, which is when the division standings really count. There's points you can make about the Lions shakeup in the offseason this year. I'm sure stuff we're going to talk about. But we had some roster churns too. And I think that the waves that went out in the NFC North are probably even more impactful than the ones that went out in Ray and Mike and Craig's division, because yeah, he landed in New York. But you guys have had to sort of prepare for star quarterbacks or had a star quarterback in that division for a long time. It's less of a ripple in that pond, in my opinion, because it's like the Pats are already dealing with like elite receivers in Miami and a pretty decent, if he can play. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I haven't looked too much into it, but I heard Tua is like already hurt. But like you guys have good teams plus Josh Allen. So it's like you guys have to play against those guys already. And the Jets, I think that they were like everybody's favorite sort of like coming around the corner team last year. And they have some like fun personalities, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're a lot more hateable now that they have Aaron Rodgers. But he's not the same Aaron Rodgers. And I think that there could be like a renaissance for him over there. Like a lot of times a new, a Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, or like moves like this. A lot of times they usher in some serendipity, but there will be waves in that division. There will be waves across the NFL, but it is the biggest stars movement, like as far as impact goes. But I really do think that our division is the one that's most impacted, because I think every team now is having the conversation that we're having, which is, all right, Aaron Rodgers is finally gone. It's time to get to the top of the heap here, because that was never going to happen while he was in Green Bay. As much as like it pains me to admit it, I can talk about it now that he's gone. Like, I would probably be more bullheaded about it in past preview shows and past power ranking shows, because you got to stand your ground and tell this guy to go fuck himself.
Yeah, I feel a lot less hate coming from your Zoom square here. It's not permeating.
I mean, look,
it's
you have to be a little bit in denial when you're in the situation I've been in, from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? It's like, it sucked. It fucking sucked. And it's like, of all the teams, that have a chance to jump up, it's actually really interesting. If you look at it from a neutral point of view, obviously I want the Bears to be the winners of this contest, but all 4 teams have a chance of either retaining or grabbing that crown in varying levels of probability. So I think that there's a lot going on in that division. I think that that's one of the hardest divisions to predict this season. I think it's going to be really difficult to see how that one actually goes. Which makes it interesting. Makes it interesting for me as a Bears fan, but also from the neutral point of view. And hopefully it means we can talk about the Bears more this year, which I would love to.
Well, we're talking about Justin Fields. I love that fucking guy.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. The turnover in the division definitely affects the NFC North more than it does the East, because, I mean, the Jets were 8-8 last year. I think with Rodgers,
and a lovable 8-8. A lovable 8-8, I thought.
I think with Rodgers, they're probably 10-6, which doesn't really turn the East upside down. The Bills are still the Bills. The Dolphins are still the Dolphins. But now in the North, bro, the Vikings are literally the favorite in that goddamn division. That's absurd. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Well, it makes sense though, doesn't it? Because
Lions,
their regular season records have been like up there with the Packers over the past couple of years. They've won the division. Their regular season form is like proven. Like, it honestly is. I know we talk about this every year with Kirk Cousins going into the playoffs and like Monday night games and like all that stuff. But last year, like, we knew it was an inflated record, but it was still enough, So I just think, but I just think the Lions and the Bears have both churned their rosters a ton, and like the Bears have done a ton of stuff that I think coincides a little bit with Rodgers leaving, but also Fields entering his 3rd year, adding a bunch of protection for him, giving him more weapons. The trade with Carolina being an absolute fucking steal with everything that happened with obviously the first overall pick and everything. We didn't win that many games last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if people were still putting the Bears 4th in that division. But with Rodgers leaving, I mean, the Packers, I don't know who the fuck they even have at this point. Like, he took all his receivers with him. I don't even think Mason Crosby's playing there again next year, to be honest. And
I mean, the fact that he went to the kicker second says everything.
Yeah. But I mean, they're still the Packers is the thing. They're still the Packers. Like, they're an institution, and I don't know how long the turnaround's going to take. But
we'll talk shit about the Packers soon. I promise.
Got it.
Ray, go. Biggest
story. Very good. So, honestly, it's and this is probably a shout to DK. I'm gonna stay right there. Like, he just alluded to it. But you said, what's the biggest storyline? Or I said my favorite is the Patriots getting Bill O'Brien and getting Patricia out of there. So I want to put that. I want to make that known. Obviously.
That was like minimum system requirements, though. That wasn't like a big splash. But it's like, you have to do that.
Like, but we have to do it. What has actually happened is a different thing. So I'm just glad. So I'm happy about
that. Has to be. I just want that has to be the biggest, like, put your balls on the table decision in the history of football. For Bill Belichick to walk in there and be like, "Hey, who's your O coordinator this year? Oh, Matt Patricia. Has he ever coached offense? Nope.
Right.
That's it.
So
nope.
So we can put that aside. So I'll say right there in NFC North, I think that when you invested in a young quarterback, which is something I haven't been able to see up here right now currently, but we'll get into that later on. I love that they got DJ Moore. I still love that clip from a few years ago when Steve Smith came.
I forgot you guys got DJ Moore too.
Yeah, who's this DJ Moore guy? That he was counting him, but that was Steve Smith way of saying, like, nah, like, this guy is definitely next up. So yeah, you put him around there. I know you give the extension to Cole Kmet, I think 4 years, $50 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he earned it.
So I I know I wanted him here.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, I definitely think he is someone who can be, someone that's dynamic in the passing game. But yeah, I just
He'd
think
be like a
put,
Dalton Schultz, right? Dalton Schultz type.
yeah,
He's like
around there.
a
I mean,
he's
I
like
think he's a little more athletic than Schultz.
yeah, he's like really tall
So
and like he
yeah,
moves really
so
well. And I think like the thing that was really positive on like, we're talking snap to snap here last year. You like looking, I obviously watch every Bears game, so I'm like watching it as we go. The idea of like giving a guy who's in his first 5 years the option to check down to a tight end that's going to maybe make a play.
It's huge.
You
It's
can't
huge.
ask him to run every play, and you can't ask him to like go out, bomb out every time. So he needs like kind of a safety net, and I think that was part of that. And I think adding yes that, but also some offensive line pieces that give him a little bit more time to figure some
yeah.
shit out is also huge. So yeah, investing in the young
Yeah.
quarterback, I agree.
So yeah, so that's that, and I think but to answer the third part, which is you asked what is the most interesting. Honestly, I'll go back to my division. I think the most interesting storyline is what's going on with Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen. There's been a lot of covering up, in my opinion. I know there's been different reports about saying, oh, like family fights, and in the worst days, no one wins in the family feuds. But I think that there's more to the story. Obviously, that's not getting out there. I think if they have another season that they lose in the first round or they lose in the divisional round, I think that more stuff will come out. So clearly Diggs was frustrated, or is frustrated. I don't think that's really gone away. So yeah, so I'm interested to see how that unfolds. Will that affect how they play on the field? I think.
What's your opinion about that? Like in general, like a wide receiver quarterback situation, right? Obviously, you have
I think
you have an important relationship
right.
there with the clear number one wide receiver and an all pro quarterback.
Yeah,
Regardless of like expectations and stuff, like
right.
do you think he's allowed to be frustrated, or is it just like, dude, make the fucking plays, listen to your QB?
It's a mix of both, but I feel like in the sense of, and I have to give, I think, probably credit to Bobby on this, because even though I said that Josh Allen would be the guy once Brady left, like it's clear to see that his numbers took off once they got Diggs there, right? So it's not something where he progressed into this and it was like, no, once you had the guy that can be that number one weapon for you with Dawson Knox, and really didn't have much of a running game, like that's where he really took his leap there. So he needs to do whatever he needs to do in order to keep Diggs happy and the rest of that offense happy. Like, because if that was to unfold, they're going right back to what they were, right before Josh Allen's tenure there. So I just think he needs to do whatever he needs to do to make everyone there happy. Once again, maybe he is, and maybe Stefon Diggs has been a diva. I know there were some issues with that in Minnesota as well. So yeah, I just think that they, that's all Brian Dable. Hey, figure it out. Make sure you get your scheme guys open, and you get them to where they need to be. Because once again, they're super talented. When you go back and forth from the homes like that, like you're clearly a guy that people are looking at to take that throne eventually. So once again, it's step up or step aside, and that should be their theme this year. That should be on their shirts. Step up or step aside.
I just think it's like relationships are fucking hard, man. Because if you Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen told each other they loved each other on national TV on Thanksgiving this past year. It was like literally 4 months before they all of a sudden had this big feud. It's just
that's how it goes, bro. It's intense first, and then things sour, and then all of a sudden you're just like not talking to each other.
It's just so different. It's so different nowadays because one little rift or like one little miscommunication, Twitter and the internet takes it to a whole different level, and I feel like they turn it into reality where it's
but
like
that's just become part of your responsibility for organizing.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep that shit out. It's just is what it is. I think that like to me, it like just. If Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen blow this shit up because like they're not achieving what they think they should or whatever, like, well, that's just to me like indicative of like what their mentality was holding them back in the first place. Like if you let that happen, and like it's the same reason, it's the same character flaw, the same DNA in one or both of you. That means that's why I haven't seen you in a fucking Super Bowl when you were like on paper supposed to be at this point. That's why Josh Allen is now consensus number 3 at best QB in the NFL after Burrow and Mahomes. And it's like, I think that you could probably bottle, I mean, here we are with the bottled talent thing already, but you could probably bottle Josh Allen's talent and it would be a much bigger bottle than Joe Burrow's talent on in a lot of different areas. But Joe Burrow's got that fucking dog in him, and he's not a little bitch, and he's not having little fights with his fucking boyfriend on Twitter or whatever the fuck is happening. So just get your shit together. Like, you could get paid a fuck ton of money. You have a ton of talent around you, and you're the. By the way, this is true because you can just go on. I mean, maybe it's not, maybe, but statistically, you're the best thing that's ever going to happen to each other. There's a very, very small percentage chance that either of them is going to get a guy that's as talented as the other guy to team up with and pair up with. Also, you have a limited amount of time to do this. Like, if you're going to go, like, if Stefon Diggs is going to, I'm sure he could go get his bag somewhere. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he could do a Tyreek Hill and say, like, go, pay me in fucking New Orleans or some bullshit. Like, somebody that's got salary cap, like, pay me this. I don't even give a shit. I'll fucking ride out. But if you really want, if you genuinely want to, like, be great and you have the potential to be, you're in the mix. Like, the Bills are still in the mix. You can have reactionary internet shit all you want. Like, they could still go 14-3 this year and fucking win a Super Bowl. So they could. So it's like, and it wouldn't be completely out of the realms of possibility. I would imagine they're gonna start high on your power rankings, Bob. So it's like, it's like, just shut the fuck up and get on with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
And if they fucking shoot each other in the dick, then, like, all right, well, that's more for everybody else. That's whatever. None of us are Bills fans here, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm hoping they implode. Obviously,
yeah.
But
if Stefon Diggs is honestly really pissed about it, then fucking get mad and go to New England.
Yeah.
Switch to a fucking regional rival.
Bills fans in general need to calm down, because I know
they're emotional.
I know a few. I mean, so am I. So I mean, whatever. But it's just like,
collectively emotional, though. They're embarrassing on the internet.
Right, but it's just like, I need Bills Mafia to chill. Like, once again, there's your claim to fame.
No, you can't tell Bills Mafia to chill. You can't tell Bills Mafia.
Their claim to fame is going to 4 straight Super Bowls and losing, and not even there was only one game that was close. So you know what I'm saying. So once again, until you get that part done, I'm always going to throw it in your face. So once again, it's 6-0, and I'm not talking about hype. So
shots fired in the preseason.
That's where I'm at right now. So
yeah, but he's not wrong. I mean, he's honestly not wrong.
He's 100% right.
And if you like, I think there's a collective consensus agreement about the Buffalo Bills. The thing that has been holding this current iteration of their team back is a mentality issue. Like, there's no, like, what talent issue do you see there? I don't fucking see anything. Like, maybe you can make a case that their running game. Maybe you could make a case that, like, if they had a running back that could, like, really make an impact, and you took some of that pressure. Josh Allen.
Well, I guess it could.
But that doesn't work. I mean, we know that, right? Like, I mean, I even know that with Justin Fields. Like, you have to get to Aaron Rodgers level with movement as a QB. You have to be like, I mean, this is just the old wisdom on the subject, right? Like, maybe I'll be proven wrong eventually. The more
what a wise DK post.
I mean, it's true though, isn't it? It's like, you need to be able to. You need to have the defense at least dedicate one guy to you because you're a threat to go mobile. But realistically, if you don't know how to sling the ball, you're not going to win shit. That's just like the way it's always worked in this league. Unless somebody breaks the mold there, unless Lamar Jackson goes and breaks the mold there, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So, like, Josh Allen has to, like, I think this of Justin Fields in year 3, right? I think this about my guy in year 3, that you need to start changing the priorities of your offensive game plan to make it so that you live and die by your arm. And because that's what the quarterback position is. And it'll help you immensely that you can move, and it'll help you immensely that you're mobile, but you can't be the running game of your team. You can't. That's what a running back is.
It's like vintage Russ. Vintage Russ is the perfect example.
Vintage Russ,
it is
exactly
the best example. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like but he still had Marshawn Lynch. Do you know what I mean? It's like, exactly. you gotta go get that solid backfield. And I know there's a lot of conversations about running backs going on right now because they're not getting paid. I've been advocating for not fucking paying running backs for the entire run of this podcast, just from a protect salary cap standpoint. I want everybody to get paid. I want the players to get paid, but that's a mentality issue. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Josh Allen is there at this point in his career, and he hasn't figured out how to not let a game get away from him based on the merit or lack thereof of his arm. And I need that from him, and I need him to get his fucking house in order, and I need him to calm his troops down. Like, otherwise, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Joe Montana.
Last thing on this is, like, exactly what you're going to say, is the best dynasties and the best QB wide receiver combos 100% had relationship issues and had things that went wrong between them, and they figured it out without the media getting involved. You don't think Burrow and Chase have issues? You don't think
There's so much footage of Peyton Manning at wide receivers.
It's just you figure it out and you don't let it become this overlying cloud over your team, and that's what the Divas do, and that's why Terrell Owens will never be the best wide receiver ever. That's why all these guys won't be the best wide receiver ever, because they always brought down their team like this. We'll see if Diggs is one. I don't think he is. I don't think so. My biggest story is, of course,
didn't Trayvon Diggs? Is it Trayvon Diggs is his brother on the Cowboys?
Diggs, he's got a contract.
Yeah. Didn't he tell Dak Prescott, shut your bitch ass up and camp the other
shut your bitch ass up? Yeah. But then Dak started dropping dimes all day.
I know, but I mean that's not good.
Well, yeah, it's training camp, bro. And then threw the ball at him. Dak threw the ball at him.
I love it, honestly. I love it.
Bro, Kelsey punched out a teammate. It's training camp. It happens.
I get it.
I just love
that was awful wild.
I've been asking the Cowboys to make free agent moves for years, and they finally did. They got the big move in Brandon Cooks and the big moves in Stefon Gilmore. We finally have a cornerback too, which I've been pleading the Cowboys to do for I feel like fucking 10 years now, since Orlando Scandrick was in town. Finally, we have a guy that can lock down the 2 and the 1. I think the sky's the limit.
Big number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this season, which scares the shit out of me, because anytime I'm excited for a season, I just
you're excited for every season. Right. It's just that the Cowboys always have the sky fall.
Right.
Death, taxes, and those 2 things.
It's
exactly.
Scary.
If you stop getting excited, and we have to stop watching your excitement get met with crushing disappointment, we're gonna lose half the fun on the show.
That's 100. Remember, I went through a range of emotions last year. I went from I quit by week 4, this season's over, to bro, we could win the Super Bowl by week 12. So the other big story is the running back thing. I think that's a bigger deal than what people are making. It's I understand why the NFL is doing it and why they're taking the stance on the running backs, but I think something has to be done in the end, because these guys do put their bodies on the line. The teams literally run these dudes into the ground. They're like, oh, they only last 4 years. Well, yeah, because you gave them 368 fucking carries. Of course, he only lasted 4 years. So I feel like something needs to be done where they prorate those contracts, or even the franchise tags. They pay him right now a summary or an average of the top paid player. I think they should do it you can only franchise tag a running back one time instead of the 2 or 3 years that you can do it now. Something needs to be done.
But then you could just turn around and start listing them as different positions on the roster, right? It's I think the thing is, for me, it's you just look at the average salary compared to the other skill positions, and in order to catch them up, you have to front load their contracts. So if you're a running back and because I understand the idea of not paying them. I've been advocating for this for a long time, because it's really dumb if you sign the second contract that every running back gets is the contract that their fucking body goes, right? So it's with a few very notable exceptions, but rare ones, because of the way that they play their position plays. And it's
Adrian Peterson and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way
Tomlinson was so good when he got to the Jets.
Tomlinson. Okay, Tomlinson. There you go. See?
Sure. But it's because of that, you have prorating it's one thing, but I think essentially if you just say the same way you match salary to a draft position or a draft group or however that works, it's if you draft a running back comparatively to his draft position, the front end money has to go up, the minimum money has to go up, so they actually can live out the rest of their lives having dedicated, like you said, Bobby, their brains and their body to the sport. Because it doesn't need to be crazy, because you're not going to get that much work out of them in the back end. But I think that's an issue for the players' union, to be honest with you. I think that has to come up in trade union negotiations
for sure.
And I think that it's just a money issue. If you give it to the teams and the players to negotiate every time on the second or third contract of these guys, these guys are going to lose, because the teams are just going to be there's a fuck ton of good running backs. I don't need you that bad. So when you leave it up to them, they're never going to get paid like that. Nobody's running a charity. So you just have to up the minimums. I mean, it seems like a no brainer to me, because it's you shouldn't have to go and work at a car dealership after you've played in the NFL for 6 years. It just does that. Doesn't, you should be good. As long as you don't do
But-
anything stupid with your money, you know.
So the falls from fame are unlike any other position in sports. It's like you go from all pro, superstar to out of the league in 2 years if you're running back.
Yeah. But that's just part of it. Like that, there's proven track record for like why that happens, and it's not like their fault. Like it's still an integral position on the field. You still need running backs, but like they are gonna sacrifice their fucking bodies. Like they are. That's how the position works. You know. So
Is it even the era before us, right? I think about I mean, just one before we were born, but I think about guys like Marcus Allen,
yeah,
guys like Eric Dickerson,
Yeah.
you know,
Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett. Like these are guys, you know, were given Earl Campbell, who now he does big stuff in Texas. I know that for sure because he has a brand that's in grocery stores, but like it's rare. But like I said, those were just 3 or 4 guys I named, but it's hard. And once again, those guys are running sometimes 400 times a year, and probably getting $150,000. Once again, a lot of money back then, but it's just like, damn, like, like that's insane that you could run the ball that much and sometimes even catch the ball 40 or 50 times, and still not get compensated, you know, fairly or at least equal to.
so if you break down their per
yeah,
snap, their per snap payments, like with the exception of the quarterback and like maybe your
It's the lowest.
wide receiver 1, it's like it's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's like the amount of snaps they're out there for. You're running back 1, especially if you're a guy. Like I understand if you're like the RB3 on the Titans, like I get it. But if you're Derrick Henry, like you gotta pay them. You know what I mean? Like somehow.
Like this whole Jonathan Taylor thing, I think is so fucking absurd. Like you got to pay this dude. He's one of the best running backs I've ever seen. But yeah, so I mean,
or make it incentive based. You know what I mean? It's like if
I like that too.
You could have a specifically incentive based.
Yeah, but that's the incentive pay is tough too because now
they get hurt.
Like they'll tell you one thing, right? And we see plenty of interview, but they'll tell you, oh yeah, like it's a 2-year deal for 16 mil worth up to 22, but it's just like, oh, like you get this many first downs or you get this many catches. And then what happens is the last 2 games or the last game of the season, oh, we've got the playoff spot, or oh, we're not going to.
Well, that's why you do it like baseball, right? You make it averages. You make the incentives the averages. It's like yards per run. So like it's like if you keep your yards per run above 3.4, like you get this much more money. So it's like because like they can maybe still do that to you a little bit, but like your average is your average by the time you get there. So it's like they're then incentivized like not to fuck you over, like an ERA or something like that in baseball, where it's like, oh, you kept your ERA to like this number, so you're gonna get. I mean, it's baseball money, so you're gonna get $1 billion more dollars. But like, but in the NFL, it's like, you know, like the incentives in the NFL could be like, okay, you kept your average, and then you can just break down the incentives where it's like, as long as you hit this number of snaps, so it's not just one guy who ran for 5 yards one time, and then it's like you're done. It's like you hit this number of snaps, you hit this, you hit that, and then it's like you can just sort of work around it so that you're not putting them in a position where they're going to play hurt or you know what I mean? Or it's like, and then you can even do IR incentives, right? It's like, okay, if you hit the IR, we're going to pay you like a good faith amount, you know, because it happens. So you can incentivize them not to try to play through injuries and shorten their career and stuff like that. Like it might get a little complicated, but you know, contracts are complicated already. Like you let the fucking eggheads in the salary cap room deal with that shit, but you at least make the players feel that I mean, this is a problem systemically through the entire NFL, but you at least make the players feel like you give a little bit of a shit about the rest of their lives after they leave this very damaging and trying sport. You know what I mean?
Their shelf life is so short compared to the rest of
that's what I'm saying.
Sport. You know, it's crazy. So I mean, I think that's a pretty good intro into 24 season.
That was just a cold open.
Yeah, that was just a cold open, guys. We haven't even started yet. We haven't even started. So I mean, I guess like, I mean, let's just jump right in. I guess this is fucking exciting. So I just because of the first one, I wanted to make sure we at least mentioned every team because they deserve to be mentioned on the first show of the year because you know everyone's still fucking in it. So why not?
But we will go back to top 10, right, for the week.
Yeah, no, it's top 10 every week. We're doing that once the games start for sure. But
cool.
Once people have to earn their way onto this show after the first.
Of course. That's how we look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the charity show.
Right, exactly. So we'll start off the charity show with who I made DK stop talking about earlier. So the Packers. So they're the Packers. So first, let me tier this out for you guys. So first tier is the lowest tier in the NFL. This is the rebuild mode. No fucking chance. It's the Packers, Commanders, Cardinals, Texans, Colts, Raiders, and the entire NFC South. The entire NFC South is so garbage. I started listening them out, and I'm like, nah, the whole fucking.
I think you're sleeping on the Falcons. Can we talk about that whenever you're ready?
Yeah,
I think the Falcons are better than you think.
Let's go to your Packers or your hated
They're
Packers
not mine.
first. I think Jordan Love's going to be good, but they have no shot without Rodgers this year, right? That's complete rebuild in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they start at us, which I think we're going to be hungry for that first game. I think you should do that every year. I really think you should put week 1 or like at least milestone weeks. You should make historic rivalries or
Packers every week.
No, not necessarily. But or like, you know, I was champing at the bit for the London game to be Bears Packers, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But we also weirdly get a ton of primetime no matter how shitty we are, probably because of our market, I would imagine. Like we tune in. But anyway, they started us. I think we're going to be champing at the bit at that. I really am advocating for most improved team for the Bears this year. So, and maybe most worsened team for the Packers. So I think we're going to have Tremaine Edwards and TJ Edmonds and Edwards at their fields just doing his thing. And I think we're going to stomp on them. And I think it's going to be predictive for the rest of their season, because I think then they're going to go play the Falcons. Then they're going to go play the Saints. They might beat the Saints, but then the Lions will beat them. The Raiders will beat them. The Broncos will probably beat them. The Vikings will probably beat them. You know, like the Steelers will probably beat them. It's like these games that were very winnable this time last year for the Packers are now looking like I don't see like it's that thing of like you said, they're in ultimate rebuild mode. And the way you can always tell an ultimate rebuild of a team is I don't see what a Packers touchdown looks like in my head anymore. Like, I don't know what like a Packers scoring drive looks like. I don't know what a Packers win looks like. I knew what it looked like painfully under Aaron Rodgers. I knew what it looked like. But now, yeah, I agree. Full rebuild. I do think they have some talent, but I think anytime honestly, Ray, with the exception of the Patriots, I think they actually recovered pretty well after losing a guy of Tom Brady's stature. I know that you guys have standards that you like expect them to hit, but from the perspective of the rest of the NFL, I think they stayed pretty good.
Remarkable.
Yeah, remarkably good after losing a guy like Tom Brady. That is not the rule. That is the exception. And I think that what's for sure going to happen is the impact, just the wave of Rodgers leaving, the culture or lack thereof in Green Bay is going to ruin their chances at not getting it.
So, Ewing theory, Ray? What do you think? Ewing theory?
No, I mean, listen, I think at best they maybe win 6 games, and that might be super generous. I like Romeo Doubs. I like Christian Watson. I think they could be a good duo going forward, but it's going to take time to build that chemistry with Jordan Love. And once again, we got to put things in perspective with David Lewis a few moments ago, but like it's insane to think about. So we're in 2023. So from 1992 to now, the last 30 years,
Hall of Fame QBs.
They've had Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. Like that's insane.
It's wild.
Hey,
it's wild.
You literally have had two quarterbacks of all time.
Not fair.
And like it's unreal. So it's
by the way, insult to injury, Brett Favre went to then the Viking.
Right.
Like,
So
come on, dude.
That means that Aaron Rodgers
Rodgers following the same script.
Yeah, it'll be in Minnesota next year. Don't worry. But I fully believe that. You can book that. He'll be in Minnesota next year. He wants to be Brett Favre 2.0 so badly. But I think I like how Christian Watson came on. Once again, it looks a lot different when 12 was throwing you the ball than where Jordan Love is going to be. But
he's a different 12 last year. Though. He was on acid and shit, you know.
Sure. Yeah. the ayahuasca trips. But six games at best. I mean, we say we don't know what the system would look like, but I think, 33, meaning Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to be
and 20. Dylan 20.
Yeah, and AJ Dillon from shout to BC. So
BC.
They should be able to run heavy offense first. Which in today's NFL doesn't really work. So
it's what LaFleur wants, though. It's what LaFleur has always wanted. He likes that run,
but it's just
offense,
like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon should be supplement, not the primary. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Agreed.
I like Aaron Jones. Like, that 2017 draft class overall is fucking loaded. He was a part of it, so I get it. But yeah, like I said, 6 games at most. But yeah, most of the teams you mentioned in there, like, one of those teams will surprise us. But it won't be Green Bay.
Yeah. So I was going to say, anyone else we should? I mean, entire NFC South. Obviously, Tom Brady's gone.
I think it's somebody out of that division.
Somebody else going to be hot garbage.
It's going to be the Falcons. I'm telling you, it's going to be the Falcons.
Yeah.
They had the highest roster turnover other than Chicago of any other team.
So
they made.
What about?
They made some moves, and once again, I mean, as I'm a Gator fan for college football, for those that didn't know, but you'll hear more about that throughout the season. But they got Arthur Smith has to use Kyle Pitts more. The dude is 6'6", 250, and runs like a wide receiver. So you would think that you would use him. I know they just got Jono down there. So Jono did have his best season under Arthur Smith. So I think that Jono kind of recaps what he was in Tennessee over there. So that two tight end system, they probably run a lot of that over there. So yeah, I think I agree with you, DK. I think that Atlanta can surprise some people. I don't know. That division always flips on its head, though. I feel like whoever wins the year before, it usually flips. It was different because Tom Brady walked in there, so you automatically damn near knew that they were going to win the division as long as he was at helm, even with having a bad record, which was crazy. But yeah, I do think someone of the NFC South, whether it's Atlanta or it could be, it's either going to be Atlanta or New Orleans. So like it won't be.
What about Carolina? I mean, Carolina, Bryce. You don't think Bryce Young can have a rookie?
So not right away.
Carolina doesn't think so either. Carolina's getting rid of their assets too. Like they're not they're not in a position where they're like even trying to be winning. So
it's hard to be what Cam was his rookie year. Like that was unreal what he did his rookie year.
Bryce Young's literally like 7 inches shorter than Cam.
So. No, I know, but I'm saying that's going to be the standard down there.
So I know. Yeah.
So it's like that's where he's not going to be Steve Berline either. He's not going to be Jake Delhomme. He's not going to be any of those guys there. So. Welcome to the.
They gave away his best receiver, though. For
right.
to go for the future.
Exactly,
so it's like to me, it's like honestly, to me, it's a no-brainer. I think that what the Falcons did was specifically.
They don't have a quarterback though.
Yeah, they go. What's his name? The guy they
Ritter, Heineke. I mean,
they're going with Ritter. They went with Ritter over Mariota last year, like halfway through the season. Yeah. He actually performed pretty well. Like I'm not saying that they're going to be. The best team in the world, but I could really see them winning this division because I think the moves that they made were intended to win the division. I think they were like, the division is weak as fuck. We can build a team with a few little like tiny little trades and like a couple overhauls. Like they overhauled a lot of the defensive coaching staff. They brought in Jeff Okudah at quarterback, who I wanted for the Bears. He's good.
I like Okudah.
They made some changes like around the offensive line. They brought in Bijan Robinson at running back, who's good. And they brought in a bunch of pass catchers, like not wide receiver ones competing for a wide receiver one position, like just a bunch of guys who can catch the ball to try to I think manage games, like that. I think they're going to be.
They've never had that outside of Julio though.
Right. Because it's hard to do, right? It's hard to go get Julio. So I'm not saying they're going to be the Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying they might not even have a winning record, but I still think they could come out of this division pretty handily.
Yeah,
seven and 9 might win this division. 7 and 10.
9 wins. 9 wins was that division.
Yeah, I think 7 and 9 wins
was it where they're at. 8 last year or 9 last year, right?
Yeah, Tampa Bay was 8 and 9.
9 and 8. So. Yeah, 8 and 9.
Also,
9 and
they had the opportunity to go try and get a QB in free agency or in the draft, and they didn't. Which either says, I mean, I don't know why they would make such moves on defense if they weren't going to try to go get a winning record and win this division this year. But I think that says, and like you said, Kyle Pitts, we were just talking about Cordell Patterson earlier before the show started. Like they still have weapons down there.
Another running back too. What's his name? He's a rookie last year.
I think Robinson's probably going to be the number 1 running back.
Oh, Bijan's there now. The other guy doesn't matter anymore.
But I just think like Drake London. Are you talking about?
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, Drake London.
The backup running back. He was like a fantasy star for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name anymore. It doesn't matter.
But Drake London's the wide receiver from USC.
He's a wide receiver. Yeah,
he's good.
So,
yeah.
Tyler Algier.
Yes, Algier. Yeah.
But they have a good running back room. Honestly, they got him, Cordell Patterson, and Bijan Robinson. They have a decent run blocking line. Like it's the kind of team that's going to take games away from when they play the Packers, for instance. Like they'll win that game. Like you can just chalk that W on their board right away. They'll go win games like that. I think they might. That they have the potential of winning, and then they're going to come out maybe as the leaders of that division. Probably get smoked in the first round, but I don't know. I mean, I think that they made some smart moves with what they could do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they've turned their entire team around, but I mean, I think they should be applauded for like the very savvy moves they made in the offseason. And I think it's their guy. So
I think it's clear they're trying to build off the model almost of the obviously they don't have Lamar, but the Ravens, where they have a lot of fast running backs. They run a lot of pro option. They run a lot of stuff that's based off of, the speed coming out of their backfield, the versatility with Patterson. Yeah. So I could see it, man. They're one of those wishbone, like, pull wins out of their asses because they ran 3
they also could potentially win every division game. All the teams they're playing are so trash.
The only other team would be the Saints, right? Because they got Carr.
Yeah.
I think Carr is garbage. I think he's a fraud.
I don't think the Panthers
I've seen all I need
Bucks
to
are
see
trying
with
to win.
Carr.
I don't think the Panthers or the Bucks are trying to win shit this year. So, and also if the Bucks were trying to win,
who's the Bucks? Is Trask starting for the Bucks, or is
either him or Mayfield?
Mayfield, bro. That's gonna be a tough season in Tampa Bay to go from Brady to this.
But they do that on purpose. It's wild though. We talking about, you still have Mike Evans, you still have Chris Godwin. Like you still should be able to get to those guys whenever. And obviously any drop off is going to be a drop off. Obviously, when you lose the best quarterback all the time. I get that. I know from personal experience.
Imagine the locker room vibes going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield as your leader.
I mean,
oh my fucking God.
Once again, I get
it's
it.
The same thing we talked about Rodgers, though. It's like he's walking out of there. Like he's taking the soul of the team with him. Like,
right.
They fully mortgaged these next few years in order for Brady to go get them a championship. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You go get a Super Bowl, Like you can't take
this is what it's supposed to look like, Ray. When a Hall of Fame quarterback leaves a team, this is what's supposed to happen, is what happens in Tampa Bay this year. I think they're potential for worst team in the league. I think if I were putting money on it, I would put it on
personally. I'm rooting for Trask. He has the hell of an arm. Once again, he played in the UF.
Gator.
He's get a shot. So he I would like him to be the guy. He's kind of he's a Drew Bledsoe type quarterback. But he can run. But he has the arm. He can do everything. It's just a matter of, is he going to, to pan out. So we'll see.
I mean, that's really. I mean, the rest of them.
He hasn't really played.
Commander.
So it's just like,
but I'm just talking about the situation. I mean, it's just like, I just don't think it's. I mean, Chris Godwin's had 3,000-yard catching seasons.
Yeah, then Mike Evans has had 1,000. First time is he won't have 1,000 yards. Mike Evans.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Dude has been legit since he got out.
I know, but you got to, you don't start with the ball at the position.
Yeah, they should have traded at least one of those guys in the offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's time to start over.
But so the rest of them, we got Cardinals, Texans, Colts, and the Raiders. Any of those guys making a run? I don't think so, right? I mean, Jimmy G's all right, but
the last two.
So Commanders, Cardinals, Texans, Colts, and the Raiders. Sorry, I had to.
Probably not, because I mean, especially the Raiders, like, think about the division they're in, like it's just not going to happen. And once again, Jimmy G will play great for 7 games because that's what he does. And then unfortunately he'll hurt a hand, he'll hurt an elbow, he'll hurt a knee. And once again, it's not about wishing. So for those that listen to this, he's wishing injury, calm down. Once again, I'm going off what has happened. So
wishing it's just
I like Jimmy G.
Yeah,
I like Jimmy G. I think that he's better than the game manager. I think people put him in that category, but he's better. He's a step above that when he's on. But those teams you just named, like, damn near everything has to go right. Like, when on good teams, you can have one thing not working, and it's like, okay, they still find a way to win. Like those teams you just mentioned, like everything has to break right in order for them to win. And on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday. So or Friday. they're doing that Friday now too, football apparently.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I agree
Okay.
about the Raiders. More so because I don't actually think Jimmy G's a step above a game manager. I think he's like the quintessential game manager. I think that there's some in the water in New England that makes people believe that Jimmy G's better than he is because of the fantasy of him coming back and like replacing Tom Brady.
oh no,
Do you remember that battles we used to have about Jimmy G in the Discord, bro?
Yeah, he didn't do enough in New England. But I'm saying like when he got to San Francisco,
I know. Then you guys
It
were
was
like,
fine.
but look at him in San Francisco. He's perfect like for our system because he throws like check down fucking like less than 10-yard like passes every
like,
single
yeah,
time. And
like,
every time he goes,
he
every
doesn't-
time he goes
he
long,
doesn't play.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
every time he goes long, he's got one of the worst fucking deep balls of any potentially top
yeah,
quarterback I've ever seen.
it cost him
Cost him a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl,
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Yes, sir.
But I'm not just talking about one pass. Like I feel like his deep ball's fucking trash in general. But
It is.
I think that, and then also like just the idea of him being like never being able to complete a full season. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Right?
Yeah.
I think that like, you're putting. I see what the Raiders are doing. I like honestly, I do, and I do think you're right. He could potentially win them like their first 6 games, or play well for their first 7 or 8, or before he goes down. Depending on their strength of schedule, which I don't have pulled up in front of me right now, but yeah,
I know we faced him. I think it would game.
Yeah,
we faced
you'll
him.
beat him. I think you'll beat him. I think
We thought so last
Or
year,
lose
too,
on a lot.
until
Yeah.
fucking
that was last year. Leave it in the past.
Jacoby Myers.
I mean, yeah, they have probably
So bad.
the best wide receiver in the NFL on their team, but it's just a matter of like who
No, the
Again,
best receivers in y'all division.
who do you think is the best receiver?
Jefferson.
I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's
he
phenomenal.
might be.
I think that's the
too.
debate, though, right?
that
That's the
man-
debate
that
between
man
those
is
two guys,
different.
between Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. I think that's fine. I mean, fair enough. I think it might be 1-1A, but I think he's like the last guy that like makes Jimmy G look good too. So it's like the way that he plays. So it's just like a weird marriage. But
Yeah.
as far as the rest of the teams you mentioned go, like what a disaster that Arizona Cardinals are, like the way that they've just been running their organization.
Fucking Kingsbury, man. We knew it was a disaster when they did it.
I mean, I guess you can keep Kyler on ice for another year and just see like what pans out later. But I don't know. I don't see them mattering in the next decade at this point, to be honest, unless some major shakeups happen. I think letting wide receivers of the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins walk and sign in surprisingly Tennessee, right? Like I really did think he was going to end up in New England, but I think getting him in the first place was such a steal for them, and they could have capitalized on that asset win with the Texans. But they didn't. They fucked that up like completely. I think that they put poor Kyler Murray in a position where he's never going to be able to prove his doubters wrong. Everybody that I don't know, but everybody that says like he's too small, he's this, he's that, he throws on the fly and it's not smart. Like, I think Lamar Jackson might have achieved a chance at like proving people wrong and like have had the weapons to do that, but I don't think Kyler's ever going to be able to now with the way that team's shaping up. The Commanders, the most positive thing about that is that fucking twat that owned them no longer owns them.
That's all they need for the season. They don't need another one.
That's a win. I hope they change the name
enough.
again. I hope the new owners change the name again. The Wizards, I don't know, something magic related.
The Wizard, just put. I like the Wizard. We'll just put the basketball jerseys on them. We'll just have the same colors.
Something basketball
I like
related.
their
I think
logos.
would be cool. Is it the same Washington though? Because it's Washington State, Washington DC.
Yeah, no, they're both DC. No, they're both DC.
They're both DC.
Yeah.
That was so dumb that we.
The Wizards
named
were the
Washington
Bullets
twice.
before because that's just as politically correct as the Redskin. But yeah, anyways.
Regardless, I just think the Commanders is a garbage name. They've had a garbage owner for a long time, and I do hope that they start to pull that franchise around. I'm excited to see what the new ownership group of seemingly likable people does.
And get Chase Young out of there.
Yeah, it's not going to be this year. It's certainly not going to be this year because their roster is trash.
Yeah, get him out of there because that.
But for all intents and purposes, when you're selling a team, I think you want limited overhead, right? Like that's just smart business. You don't want a ton of drainage on the salary cap. You don't want to start.
You want to start over.
You want to start fresh. So like you want that, and that seems to be what they've been doing. They got rid of everybody that could potentially win them a game, and now they don't have anybody. So, and then the Texans. I mean,
it's McCord, bro, the most documented downfall in MTP history. It's unbelievable.
I hope this is the first and last time we have to talk about the Texans this year. I think they're a terribly fucking run organization. I think that
I agree.
I think that to squander what they had which was a team
as fast as they
good
squandered
as,
it too.
technically as good as the current champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, like, better effort times in that game, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is a well-worn conversation. We've talked about the Texans and like what, their fall from grace many times, but as far as the power ranking show goes, I do not think we'll be mentioning them again this year after this.
Nope.
I don't think anybody in their roster is at all successful, and I would be bummed if I got drafted to go play in Houston. So, no, I'd be excited because I'd be in the NFL and not making television commercials, but that's a different life.
The best part about the Texans season for us is going to be that John Mechie will play, and Mike called it. He'll play.
He'll play.
He'll play. So moving on.
So good.
It is so funny. The tweeners, no fucking idea. This is just really the teams. I had no idea what to do with them. I have some positives, some negatives. It's the Rams, the Pats, the Titans, Steelers, Browns, and Broncos. Obviously, we can talk about. We can talk about the Pats. The Pats are, like I said, I have no idea what they're going to be this year. I literally don't, because they have a new OC. It's like a reboot of the second year of Mac. I don't think last year counts at all, if you ask me. I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. I think Mac's ceiling for them in that loaded AFC is 9 wins. Right? Tell me I'm wrong.
You said the AFC East
in that loaded AFC, the max wins for the Pats is 9.
Oh, I thought you meant for the division win. I was like, nah, it's real high.
No.
Yeah. I mean, 9, 10. That's 10 is they were 10 assignment max rookie year. So I think getting back to that would be a success, honestly. I do think the defense has improved. Once again, the defense was pretty good last year. It was just the offense could never score. So Uche is in a contract year. You draft Marte Mapu. You draft Christian Gonzalez, who's looked really good in camp thus far. And then somebody said that I expected Duggar is my that's our guy. I think Duggar has become a fan favorite, as he should, because he's a beast defensively. It should be in the top 100. I don't know why he was in the top 100. The NFL players, y'all need to check y'all list, because that dude is lethal. But anyways, yeah, but the key is offense, right? Like, what is Mac going to look like? What is the wide receiver room going to look like? Your best player on offense right now is still Ramondre Stevenson. I'm hoping Hunter Henry can have a bounce back year. He was Mac's #1 target a few years ago when he got here. So I'm excited to see what Gesicki can do as a second tight end. So there's a lot of question marks though offensively, especially at the right tackle position. I don't think Riley Reef is the answer. Especially being at 33 years old at right tackle. I don't know how that's going to play. But they're gonna have to play fast. They're gonna have to get the ball in Mac's hand so he doesn't get hit as much as he did, last year. So that's gonna be a lot of crossing routes, a lot of short intermediate routes, which is Mac's strength. But yeah, 9 to 10 wins I think would be a win for them. I mean, obviously at the a pipe dream would be 11-6, but like I said, we'll get into that as the year goes on. But yeah, I'm excited to see how they come together. But yeah, like that, I think, like I say, realistically, once again, before I get crazy, because by week 5 I'll have a different mentality. But right now, 9 to 10 wins would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to ever think about the Patriots bottoming out under Belichick, just because they really never have. But I think that it feels a little bit like a lit fuse in the past few seasons, like waiting for the eventual implosion of the way that they've been playing football, which is trying to maximize talent with minimal output, right? And that's the thing that Belichick's been able to do very, very successfully for a long time, the most successfully for a long time. Getting the best guys for the least amount of picks and the least amount of money and all this stuff. And I think that looking at the Patriots now and those rules still being applied, it's starting to look like, I'm not saying it definitely is, because Bill Belichick's proved me wrong a lot of times, but it's starting to look like a system that doesn't work in the modern NFL. And a big example of that to me is the fact that you guys did not upgrade your wide receiver room when that was incredibly necessary. And it seemed like you were in pole position to go get DeAndre Hopkins, and you didn't. And I think that the only thing I can see, and this is speculative, I don't know exactly what happened, but the only thing I can see must have happened there is that they weren't going to pay him what he needed to get paid to play in New England. I think New England was his preferred destination. And it, for all intents and purposes, the visit went great. That's where he wanted to go, and them not getting him, doubling down on the idea of like, well, we got this guy and this guy and this guy. We produced a lot with a little before. That's tough. Also, if you look at their strength of schedule this season, with the exception of some very, very winnable games smack in the middle against teams like the Colts and the Commanders, maybe the Giants, because of, rivalry stuff. They're tough bookends because of the division that you're in.
It really is, man. It really is a tough schedule.
Starting off, I mean, there's winnable games in there, don't get me wrong, but starting off with the Eagles and then the Dolphins and then the Jets is tough. Not only because you got 2 games for Aaron Rodgers to find his feet. The Dolphins have sort of looked like they've had a lot of divisional teams numbers in the past few seasons, and they also start well. And they're looking like they're coming back with a lot of the same weapons. And then the Philadelphia Eagles are maybe the second best team. They are the second best team on paper in the NFL right now, considering they're the runners up from the Super Bowl. So that's going to be a tough 0-3 start for you guys, to be totally honest. Maybe
and then you got to go to Dallas too.
Yeah,
the next
I mean,
week.
you might be able to win that though, because the Cowboys are fucking trash. No, I'm just kidding. I just have to shit on both of your teams equally during the tirade. But no, I mean, you got to go to Dallas. You got to go to the Saints, which we talked about them not being a great team, but they still have weapons. Or no, sorry, the Saints are coming to you, so maybe that's a winnable game. We talked about the Raiders, which is winnable, but you still have to play the Bills twice. You still have to play the Jets twice. You still have to play the Dolphins twice. And those are 3 really good teams. Your division is fucking tough through no fault of your own. Your division is tough. Or maybe through fault of your own, because these teams have been building to try to beat the Patriots for the past fucking decade.
Right. Exactly.
So maybe through some fault of your own.
But what I've learned about that division, and really any division, but
it is all bets are off when those teams play each other. I do agree.
Yeah, it's not even all bets are off, but it's just it's the I think is it either you or Mike say it. I think it's Mike that says it, but he coined the phrase paper champions. I would never come in not thinking that New England or any other team doesn't have a shot to win a game. This is the NFL. Any given Sunday, you can get beat.
Unless you're the Texans.
Sure, but it's just even they won the games, and you're like, how did they come out and win this? Hell, we all. I mean, it's a different scenario, but we remember last year in the playoffs, we were like, man, okay, Jacksonville got it, and then all of us, I mean, not Jacksonville, the Chargers got it. Bobby's premonition about Herbert's coming into fruition, and then bam, T. Lawrence says, nope, I'm the next sunshine. I'm the real sunshine, and they come back and win. So it's just I think you come in as a fan thinking damn, we have no fucking shot. But yeah, totally. The first 5, yes, are definitely a murderer's row, so to speak. But I think honestly, coming out of there 2 and 3 would be a steal, honestly, if that was the case. And I think that's doable. So we'll see.
To be honest, I mean, I agree with you that it's all games are winnable games. You have the best coach in the NFL still. That's not up for debate. I think his track record is proven. I'm not doing that. This is the year thing with New England, but I'm just saying I look at the schedule, and if I'm being as optimistic as I possibly can, honestly, I can find you 6 wins. I can find you 6. I think, and that's me being incredibly optimistic. I think I can find you 6 wins, and I think that puts you at 4th. And I think that sucks, and I think but what I do think, knowing the New England fan base as intimately as I do, and being a member of it in certain other sports, you can say that it's going to be a restart for season 2 for Mac Jones, et cetera, but it's not going to be. The fact of the matter is, if you guys come in 4th this year and win 6 games, your patience collectively as a fan base for Mac Jones will have run out, and it's time to upgrade a QB. But I don't know if he'll do that. I don't know if he will upgrade a QB. So you might end this season with more questions than answers. But just the fact,
a lot of things have to go right. Obviously, once again, I trust his defense will show up. One thing is, if you just have a semblance of an offense, because once again, that was the thing. they were in the games a lot last year, and then it's like, oh, we can't score, or we're getting 3 here.
Are you making stupid fucking
you're making
non-Patriot mistakes?
They literally, there was 3 games they literally threw, like the Green Bay game last year. That game was winnable, but they couldn't score at the end. Like they were
Miami week 1, bro. You were about to cross the goal line.
So it's just like that. That to me, they threw away some games they know. Well, we'll say I won't think not normally because it's different when you have different personnel. But games that we were accustomed to them seeing them blow, they blew last year. So that's where it's like, okay, those 3 wins, you become 11-6 there as opposed to 8-9. So they have to be more disciplined. That's the key. If they play more disciplined, they'll win the games that they're supposed to win. That's always been like that in the Belichick era. They're disciplined. They've been the most disciplined team. Never the most talented. There's only one year we had more talent than everybody else, but everything else they've always been the most disciplined. So if they get back to the discipline, they might have a shot.
I don't know how true it is. There was only 1 year you had more talent. You had Tom Brady the entire time. He was the best QB in the NFL for like a decade.
I'm talking about collectively though. That's
the most important position. But
I think best case. So there's like 2 best case scenarios: the 9 wins and maybe sneak in a playoff. I honestly think them winning those 6 games and actually committing to blowing this goddamn team up instead of fixing and filling these holes with mediocre players is the path to salvation for you guys. Listen, the rest of the NFL knows to be good again, you have to be bad. And I know you guys don't want to accept it, but it has to happen. If it doesn't, then
Bill the GM has to go. So let's, we danced around it the last 10 minutes talking about this. Bill the GM has to go. So I want to put that.
I don't think that you can demote Bill Belichick, though. I think if he goes as a GM,
well, I honestly I don't fucking care. Honestly, he needs to go and fuck it. That's where I'm at with that, because
I think if you're starting over, I don't know if you're starting over with Belichick. I don't see how that.
Yeah, for sure,
sure. But I mean that's fine. Man, once again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's relevant to this conversation. Would a Robert Kraft grow a pair? Because honestly, it's like you're the fucking owner. It's not Bill. So if you say to him, hey, once again, you put the pressure on him to say, hey, you need to spend here at this position or spend here at that position, then do so. But it's just like, once again, it's that's been a big issue. So yeah,
also say, you guys suffer from a phenomenon which, you have to have been good for this phenomenon to happen, but teams that are coming to play New England now, like, you still have the target on your back, like, it's still like, holy shit, we're going to New England. We're going to play Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And holy shit, we look like we have a chance of winning this game. Like, holy shit, we're going to win this game. Like, as much as logically, that they're not the same Patriots as they were under, or with Brady and just a few years ago, it's still a scalp to go and beat the Patriots.
That logo is still.
You have that kind of 1.5 effort from teams like the Steelers and the Giants and teams with historic rivalries against your team that now we're going to kick a man when he's down. Like, it's just the way it is in this league, So I think that is not your fault, but like, I just bring it up to a sort of point to the larger point I'm trying to make, which is like, there's a lot going against you this year specifically, with strength of schedule, with the strength of your division, and with the target on your back, and with like where you are in this building process around Mac Jones, and like where Mac Jones's progression is, and where your wide receiver room is. And like, listen, I think he could pull it out. I think 11 wins would shock me, but I think he could pull it out and get 9. I think that and like you said, Bobby, maybe sneak in with a wild card spot, and then like, again, the Patriots in the playoffs, you never fucking know. But I just think it's looking like the biggest mountain yet.
11 wins would be Bill Belichick's by far his best coaching job he's ever had.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable.
There's no doubt. Yeah, that'd be unreal if they got 11.
I think 9, you have to give him a lot of credit with all the things.
I think 9 he's in the running for coach of the year.
Yeah,
honestly. Right. So remember at one point, like 2 years ago, Patriots made it to 1 because of Bill Belichick by himself, because he beat the Bills by just running the ball the entire game.
He's still a very good NFL coach. Like, this is why we're like,
coaching's not my issue. It's how you.
That's why we're giving you the glimmer. That's why we're giving you the glimmer.
That's why we keep sort of saying, like, I don't know, you never know with that guy, But if it was any other team, dude, I'd be like, you're fucked. Like, if it was any other team with any other coach, I'd be like, yeah, we don't even need to spend any time on this. But because you have him, so Like, that's my thing. I mean, I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't know, like, emotionally where you guys are all at, but from where I'm sitting, I would never say then Belichick has to go completely. Like, just from where I'm sitting,
No, I
always gives you a chance.
I don't want him making all of the decisions. That's just where I'm at with him. Once again, from a coaching standpoint, yeah, there's nobody still when it comes to X's and O's. Like him coaching alone is going to get you 4 to 5 alone. Just that.
Unless he turns around and decides that he doesn't want to be the GM anymore, and he,
but that would never happen. The ego is too far gone, and I get it.
And I just think you have to live with it, until he dies. Because
you owe him that much.
It's either that or you're Tom Landry, and you become a shameful franchise that fired the only coach that ever brought you to glory. Those are really your two options here. It's just
but
have Belichick coach until he's wrinkly or wrinklier, and or have a Landry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see any other route. Do you?
No, but no, I'm with y'all. Like I said, there is a lot of amounts of pressure. Once again, there is a lot of questions that have to be answered, but we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. Like I said, yeah, they're definitely in the toughest division easily.
I wouldn't recommend firing him only because if you do ride it out with Bill as long as humanly possible, I wouldn't fire him from any job. But if you ride it out with Bill as long as humanly possible, there's like a 98% chance that everybody gets a day off for either his birthday or his death day when he dies in New England. Like, there's a good chance if you let this be amicable. If you let this just play out, like you get a Monday off every like September, like just because it's like after he dies. So that's like, I would just hope for that. At this point, that's what I would think.
If he dies at some point in his life in September, we're gonna replay that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Wake me up when September ends.
It's
a tough September for you guys. It is.
It's rough.
That's a good ref.
The rest of these guys, it's a terrible fucking song. The rest of these guys, I mean, we already talked about the Rams a little bit. Titans, Steelers, Browns, Broncos. I think the biggest thing that jumps out to me there is what's going to happen with the Broncos, I guess, and the Steelers. There's so much differential in like their ceilings and basements to me with those two teams. Anyone else you guys want to touch on?
I mean,
go ahead, do that.
I mean, not to be this guy.
Not really, right? Okay, go ahead.
I feel like the Steelers could potentially win that division. I feel like they could win that division.
I feel like they can make the playoffs. Winning the division is tough. That's the Bengals and the Ravens.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about the Bengals. The Ravens are not going to be good this year, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But I did forget about the Bengals. But they could potentially make the playoffs. I think Kenny Pickett's good. Like, I think he's legitimately good.
He is good.
I think, as much as it probably annoys New England fans to know this, I think that he's probably making lists across the entire World Wide Web of like, exciting young prospects to watch over the next few years. Is like he might be the guy in Pittsburgh, which is a place where if you're the guy, then you're usually pretty successful. They're still unbelievable at drafting skill positions out of nowhere. I like their draft.
Is a fucking free,
right?
He's a fucking free, bro.
You know what I mean? So I like their draft.
Those catches he's making are just stupid.
And honestly, I like their strength. I like their schedule. I mean, it might be another sort of situation where I'm arguing for their potential while you guys are telling me, and then eventually you're right that their schedule was so easy. That's why they won so many games. But they have the potential to win a lot of games. Like, okay, they're first of all, yes, they're playing San Francisco week 1, right? That's fair enough. Mike Tomlin's record week 1 is bananas. Like, he never loses a fucking week 1 game, no matter who they fucking play, no matter how bad their team is. So they could potentially just I don't know what that is. Like, he just has them ready to go from training camp. And then it's like Cleveland, Las Vegas, Houston, Baltimore winnable.
Wow.
Baltimore winnable at this point, especially divisionally. LA, the Rams, not the Chargers. Fucking Jacksonville, Tennessee, Green Bay, Cleveland again. Cincinnati, okay, they should probably lose that one. But it's winnable all up until that point. Arizona, winnable. New England, sorry, Ray, winnable. Indianapolis, winnable. Cincinnati, they'll probably lose that one. Seattle, they'll probably lose that one, but we'll see. Like Baltimore at the very end of the tail end of the season, when Baltimore's probably fucking completely checked out because they have nothing that they can possibly do, because they've got no talent around their best player anymore. And all of a sudden, the Steelers are 10 wins? Like,
Every year.
I mean,
every year it's the same bullshit.
It's not though. It's. I mean,
No, I'm not. It's
not.
Not that. I mean, like it's the same bullshit with them. That this is what they do every year. You're 100. The schedule is a joke. This is what's gonna happen. You're 100%.
That's what I'm saying,
This
bro.
is what's
That's
gonna
what I'm
happen.
saying. So I mean, if we're pointing teams that might have the potential, like there's some upside there.
Yeah.
I mean, betting wise.
No, for sure. I mean, listen. And I'll address the Steelers Pat point in a minute. But how you feel about how you feel about Bills? How I'm gonna talk about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is definitely to me a top 3, top 5 coach in the game. Especially from a motivational standpoint, like I think that he just knows how to get the best out of his players. Will challenge their heart, challenge their IQ, so on and so forth. So I respect him as a coach. Far until his past go, and this is not really towards my homies that listen to. I know that they're Steelers fans. Regardless of who's been the quarterback, you guys have not beaten us when it mattered.
Ray's throwing jabs. Ray's ready for football season.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Even last year, we came in there week 2 when we looked awful the week before, got smoked, came in there, beat y'all in your house. So it doesn't matter. Pittsburgh, great city, great football town, great team, great coach.
I would just respond to that.
It doesn't matter.
I would just respond to that with the idea that like you're talking about it mattering and beating the Patriots doesn't matter anymore. So they might win.
No. This is. I mean, that's. If you want to say that's fine, but you just said a few moments ago that it's still people still look at it as, oh, I beat the Lord, I beat Patriots.
Yeah, but I mean, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter if they beat them or not? Like they're not. But the same goes for the Steelers. I love football. The same goes for the Steelers, though. It's like, you're talking about a time when these two. You're talking about a time when these two teams are competing with each other as the best teams in the AFC. That's not the case anymore. So,
but I'm speaking to that. You're not a Steelers fan. I was speaking to the Steelers fans that know me and always talk shit to me, which is fine. We're good friends. Not a problem. I just always hate them. I remind them, regardless of what's behind center, we have owned that matchup, and so it don't matter who's there. It's okay.
A matchup that doesn't even get Iron Eagle at 1:00 on a Sunday anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so once again, I don't care who's the Nelson. I just know it's been whoever's been there. It's like, okay, Patriots win this game, this score, Steelers that score. Once again, it should be a good game. But which totally means that I'm saying is that Steelers are going to win by like 3 touchdowns, obviously when it happens. But it's like it hasn't mattered. So I just wanted to remind people about that now. Once again, I could totally be wrong, and once again, Craig could play the slip. If I'm dead or wrong, I'm fine with that. But I had to get that reminded. But like I said, you're not wrong, Dave. But this is to the Steelers fans that I know that like to poke fun at me.
Well, regardless, they won 9 games last year. Tomlin's never had a lose. The division.
I can't believe that streak stayed alive last year. I can't fucking.
It fucking did.
They fight for him.
Yeah, and it's it's a franchise you should be proud to play for, and it's a good football city. And frankly. Absolutely. The division, with the exception of the Bengals, who, when we get there, I have to talk about the fact that they've gone actually a lot better, scary better with the improvements they've made. The division's gone worse around them. So, and their schedule's easy as fuck. So, and Kenny Pickett's just getting better. That's all I'm saying. That's the only point I'm making about the Steelers.
That's the only point.
That was the only point.
No,
I'm done.
I feel like we only say schedule's easy when the team is good, right? Like when's the hard? It's hard to win in a week basis in the NFL. Like when the schedule, I feel like for good to great teams, we say, oh, the schedule's easier. No, like they're just that good.
They're all NFL teams. You got to go play.
You got to find a way to.
Except for the Texans.
Yeah, but they're playing the Texans.
We said, but remember years ago, Baltimore killed it. This is the Ravens with Ed Reed. Baltimore Ravens. They lose to a 1-15 Miami Dolphins. Like. Any given Sunday, that throw that shit out the window. Like guys are fighting for jobs every week. Like
totally.
Like we can joke about it, and like sometimes the joke is true, but it's like it's too hard to get a win every week. It's too hard.
So, Craig, I apologize for this. We're already over an hour, so we might have to cut this into 2 or something. But we'll get there when we get there. So next we have anything else for the rest of those teams? What do you guys think?
No, I
no.
think that was good, honestly.
No, right. That's
I
it.
will say, I will say the Titans disappointed how they kind of like ended up. I thought they were going to go from strength. I thought they were going to go from strength to strength, and I thought that maybe I was giving the coaching more credit than I don't know, but they're not that good, and I don't think the addition of Hopkins is going to make them that much better.
Yeah, they're right in the right. They're a tweener.
They're in the
they
middle.
could go either way. Yeah, they're not going to go
500,
up or down. Exactly. So this next group I'm actually kind of excited about. They're not quite yet so close. The top two teams, we already talked about the Panthers, so take them out. But the Bears and the Lions, I think these are the two most intriguing teams. We already talked about the Bears a good amount. I don't know if you guys noticed, but DK's kind of excited about this season.
Can't wait.
And the Lions, I think they have the most upside of any team that didn't make the playoffs last year. Those are the two teams that when I'm placing my long shot bets, keep an eye out for the betting preview because we're definitely doing one. Those are the two teams I'm looking at for the log odds to win the Super Bowl or at least win their divisions and make runs in the playoffs because they have the talent. They have now the coaching. I think Eberflus is really good in Chicago, and obviously Campbell is Campbell. He got a lot of shit at first, but I think he's actually a fucking great football coach. And
just because he was corny as fuck, that's why he got all that shit. Though.
Yeah, but like his guys will literally kill for him.
I know,
like
but you're gonna get clowned out if you're
room
corny on the internet. That's just the way the world works now.
Yeah, I mean that's a goddamn fact. But yeah, those are the two, man. I'm very excited to watch those two football teams. Those are the teams that every Sunday I'm gonna make sure either on my red zone or like on the TV somewhere because they're the funnest, fastest, and most electric teams in the NFL. I'm really excited to see that. They couldn't quite break the top 10 yet because we need to see a little more out of them.
Yeah.
But those two teams, man, they got some upside this year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can focus a little more on Detroit. Obviously, we can get back to Chicago if we need to, but I think
Rayshawn just said, "DK, don't fucking talk about Chicago anymore."
Oh no,
I'll just wait my turn.
So we have to go back to Chicago.
I am happy to patiently wait my turn. It's totally fine.
Yeah. No, I think that I'm trying to make it for all the time I missed last year. No, I think that Detroit was really they just weren't healthy on defense most of the year. Like I remember the game against the Patriots when the Patriots shut them out. Like they literally lost like 3 corners and 4 drives. So their offense was top 5, I think, in the NFL last year. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is the real deal. I know they added Jamar Gibbs, which I think that was a surprise pick when he went. I think that I like Jamal Williams. I don't love that he went down to New Orleans, but I mean once again you got to get your money. So I don't blame him for that. But yeah, like Goff has done enough to obviously keep the job. I mean, once again, he played better over there than I thought he would. I thought that he would kind of crash out over there, but he's been decent over there this time in Detroit. So yeah, I think that once again, I don't think they get double-digit wins, but I feel like they could be a 9-8 team easily if everything goes right. But they just have to get better defensively. So I think Aaron Glenn is the defensive coordinator. One of who used to play for your Cowboys back in the day. Probably. So I think that under his tutelage, I think that they had shown some improvement. Losing Okudah is huge because, like DK said earlier in the show, Okudah is he's raw. He's the real deal.
I've always really liked him.
Where did he go? You said he went to Atlanta.
Yeah, Falcons.
So that's a big loss, and obviously I know they traded Hawkinson, within the division, which is wild. So to me that's the ultimate disrespect. Like when you trade someone within the division, you don't think he can still do anything. But I'm like he's super young, so I don't know why they thought that he wasn't going to still do damage, especially within that division.
They got a good return for him. Then they got a first round pick for him.
But it's like he's a heck of a talent in my opinion. But anyways, but yeah, like Detroit, winning 9 games. I think that as long as they stay healthy, and once again, I know that that's a cliche thing, but it's true. I feel like if they defensively improve, because once again the offense is there, then yeah, they should be someone that makes noise, not just in the NFC North, but I think across the NFL. And yeah, so yeah, your words are starting to come true, Mike.
Yeah.
3 years later.
3 years later, yeah. That's a good little throwback for all you old MTP fans there. So yeah, I mean, last thing about the Lions before you go, DK.
Well, I'm gonna do the Lions. I got Lions stuff.
Good. Everyone remember Jared Goff was a Super Bowl quarterback 2.5, 3 years ago. Right coach, right system.
Attended a Super Bowl.
He had a really good season. He was in the
really
building. He was really good that year, though.
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
And that's a level that can be obtained.
It's just when you say Super Bowl quarterback, it's just a little misleading. I just wanted.
He was a Super Bowl participating quarterback.
He got a participation trophy for the Super Bowl. I just wanted to make sure nobody got confused.
They didn't score.
Super Bowl quarterback, different meaning to me, but that's fine.
His longest reception of the game was to Stefon Gimler. But
love that.
The level was there, so it can be reached. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have this. I could probably guess what the teams are, but everybody's got that team in their division of the 3 rival teams that they hate the least. And, there's a myriad of reasons why. Mainly because you just don't have that much hate to spread out. Like it's really hard to hate the Packers as much as I do. Have to save some hate for the Vikings because they're just annoying as shit and have left over for a Detroit team that's been so accommodating to their fellow division attendees over the last, 100 years. So
hospitable.
Yeah, just really like polite to their division rivals by not winning fucking any games ever. But in saying that, that opens up a window. That opens up a window. Rodgers leaving. It's the same thing for the Lions as it is for the Bears. It's an opportunity to turn your franchise fortunes around because they've had to be ruled under the thumb of Hall of Fame quarterbacks, just like the Bears have and just like the Vikings have since 1992, like you guys are saying. So I think that they have just as much of a chance as everybody else to sort of make a splash in this division and sort of change the fortunes of their team around. I think the coaching staff, like you were saying, Bobby, is one that could actually affect a culture change in Detroit. And quite frankly, if I could take anybody from any team, well, with the notable exceptions of like, your Travis Kelce's, but if any regular human football player, if I could take anyone, I would take
mortal.
Any mere mortal that I could pip from a team and put them onto the Bears. It would be a 2 for obviously because it would make the Lions a lot worse and it would make us a lot better inside the division. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is like one of my favorite wide receivers. He's sick. We have his brother Equiminius, who's really good, super athletic, not as good as Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra had 1,000 yards catching last season with Jared Goff under center. So that's fucking impressive. I will just say that
Super Bowl Jared Goff. Yeah,
Super Bowl attendee Jared Goff had a ticket. So that's nice. But got to watch it from like a really great angle because it was a great performance by one team.
Yeah, he didn't get past the 50 so often. So yeah,
no. He had great seats. He had great seats at the Super Bowl as a participant, somewhat. But quite frankly, I mean that's the point I'm going to land on. We have a quarterback-driven league in this league. And if you're looking at the guys, and I made this point when I was talking about Chicago, if you're looking at the guys who are in a race to rule the NFC North, you basically have a Jared Goff-led team, a Justin Fields-led team, and a Kirk Cousins-led team. Those are the 3 contenders to win this out. And I know who I'd be fucking betting on. Bias aside, honestly, trying to remove the bias as much as I possibly can. It would be difficult for either of you guys to make a case to me that either of those 2 guys are better than Justin Fields on paper at this moment. But in saying that, if Goff doesn't take a step back, if he doesn't regress, which I do think he's going to, I think he overperformed last year. If he doesn't regress, they definitely have a shot. I mean, their defense is solid. They had, I think, the number one. They were statistical leaders in a bunch of different categories for a few weeks last year, and it might have been a little bit of a glitch in the
It was at the tail end. I remember.
Yeah.
They went from like the worst to the best in like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. And that's, you're not going to shrug that off. I honestly am the most worried about them of anybody because I know what the Vikings bring to the table. I know what the Packers don't have, which is anything. And I know that thank God, fucking finally. I mean, they can still take games off you, divisional games, especially in that division. We always beat each other up no matter how bad everybody is. But the Lions are who I'm scared of because they could come out and they could look like a solid 11-win team, or potentially even more if depending on their strength of schedule. And I think that's difficult. I think they're probably in pole position. If I was completely going to remove the bias and I was going to bet on the best team for next year in this division, I probably would bet on the Lions. I'm not gonna because fuck them, but I probably would, to be honest. I think that on paper they look really good, with the exception of Jared Goff. I think that that's going to be really their kryptonite. They have to upgrade at that position if they're gonna make really big moves going forward. But if they don't, they're in the exact same boat as the Vikings, which is above average, which is just not good enough, because good enough is the death of great, and that's the Kirk Cousins syndrome that they're going to get into if they're not careful. Shit, Josh Allen might fucking be staring on that pipe at this point, though. So it's hard to be great in this league. You know, it's I'm not slapping you in the face for that. But as far as the Bears go, I mean, essentially, Poles came in and he made promises about the kind of team that he was going to build. He was like, I'm going to go get really fast guys, really athletic guys, and guys that want to be here, and he's done that. He upgraded the offensive line, which might actually change Justin Fields from being the most sacked quarterback in the NFL to not being the most sacked quarterback in the NFL, which I think just that by that merit alone, we win more games than we did last year. But additionally, the defensive drafting and the free agency pickups that we've made on the defensive side of the ball have been super, super encouraging to me. We've gotten a lot of guys on my wish list, and guys that are hard-nosed, fast. We really still need to upgrade edge rushing. And I think the fact that we haven't means that we're waiting for that to be our key piece on defense, which means that we don't think this is the year, which is fine because we still have our first round pick and the fucking Panthers first round pick next draft. But I think this year is going to be a lot of fun. So without trying to let those other teams run away with it and still keeping them honest, I'm good with whatever happens with the Bears this year. A long shot Super Bowl pick is out of the question, Bobby. You don't need to do that. But I do
making
think
the playoffs, long shot making.
I'm making the playoffs. I'm not sure if that's even a long shot, to be honest with you. I think that could definitely happen. But we won 6 games last year and we were fucking turgid. We had nobody. We made a lot of upgrades. We got the first overall pick and did a really smart thing with it. I've left this offseason with a lot more faith in our GM than I've ever had, honestly, in a GM in the history of supporting the Bears. I think that they have a plan. I think they have a vision. I think they have good coaching staff, and I'm excited to see what they do.
I'll say this before we move on. If y'all play at least 90% of how y'all played week 7 when y'all came in New England and put us over your knee, and
that was satisfying.
It was I bet it was. It should have been. You know that. Then you can book it that. You know,
well, it's all down to Fields. I mean, it's all down to Fields and how much time he gets, what kind of development he makes this year. And if you start to look at this team and you say, okay, Fields is there, they're a couple pieces away, that's fucking great news, right? That's to me what I'm looking for at the end of the season. Right. Fields is there, they're a couple pieces away, because we don't have a dominant edge rusher, which I just think back in the day, I'm wearing a Brian Urlacher jersey. Back in the day, I think your skill position on defense, your most athletic position, I should say, not your skill position, your most athletic position, your most important guy on defense. I always loved it when it was a middle linebacker, because it was like guys that could switch from pressuring the quarterback, stopping the run, coverage. You know, Urlacher was the best at that. He was a jack of all trades. He was a 9 out of 10 at everything. Maybe your Ray Lewis's are more popular because they were harder hitting and you know they win Super Bowls and stuff like that. But that was the position I was always out for. That has changed now in the modern NFL with how athletic everybody is and how fast everybody is. You need a sick edge rusher. You need, exactly. You need a number 11 over there in Dallas land. You need a guy that can put pressure on the quarterback, play after play after play after play. Your middle guys are going to be stopping the run. Your linebackers are basically all coverage guys now with how fast and athletic all the fucking tight ends are. So that edge rusher position is going to be so important for our defense to become elite. We didn't go do that, which is fine. It's totally fine. I think we made a lot of smart choices. People are pushing for the edge rusher. Maybe we'll see. I mean, I think he's a little bit more traditional linebacker. I think
he's more sideline. He's more
sideline to sideline. Yeah, I think so too. But it depends. I mean, it depends how we use him. And I do think that there's guys in the draft coming up that I would love to see out of certain teams in the SEC that I would love to see become a Bears rusher. You know, SEC country obviously fucking breeds unbelievable athletic, like fucking.
Yeah, they do.
I think if even just saying that, I bet you guys thought of 3 guys that I might be referring to, even though it's
actually did instead. It was like
but
Fabian Clowney.
Yeah. But you know, it's like at the end of the day, if that's the last piece, if that's the last jewel you put in the crown, after you get Fields there, you get him protected, you get him weapons, you do this, you do that, and then bang, you move that elite defense up, then the sky's the limit. Because Fields, again, that's who the guy I'd want to have of all 4 quarterbacks right now in the NFC North.
I think with the Bears, the last thing we'll say on is I think what's really telling about them is the moves they're making aren't the splashy moves, which is kind of what you saw the Bears do in the past and what I've seen my Cowboys do in the past. So they're the smart move, right?
Yeah.
They're going, like you said, they're going out to get the football guys. They're going out to get the guys that maybe you've never heard their name, but they play 16 out of 16 weeks every goddamn year.
Right. You got to build the core. You got to build the core.
Eberflus, that kind of is the exact what was the template where you didn't really know who he was coming in, right? You were kind of like down about the move when you hired him. But
he did exactly that though. He did exactly that. He built a defense in Indianapolis of guys that you may not hear about all the time, but they become top 5 defense, you know?
Exactly. And that's the route they're going, and it's the right way to go. It is.
There's something to me about improving players, like the idea of improving the players that you have. Obviously, New England is the absolute pinnacle, best example of this over the last 20 years. Like taking guys that have potential, recognize that potential, working on that potential, making them into guys in that system that can do one specific job incredibly well for you. That to me is a great recipe for success and a thing that we're trying to do here. And like the news coming out of camp. Obviously, that's what they always do, like positive news coming out of training camp, like this, that, and the other. But the news coming out of camp is a lot of work has been done in the offseason individually. A lot of homework assignments were handed out of like what we wanted guys to come back looking like. A lot of promises were made about long-term futures for certain guys at certain positions, especially in the secondary. And yeah, I mean, our secondary, I'm excited about. I think we're covered across the board there. I think we have obviously a really good cornerback one. I think we have a really good strong safety, and I think that they were young last year, like a lot of young guys, so it's, you bring them back and you exploit that potential. I'm in my bag right now because at the end of the day, this is the best it's going to be. Like it's all potential right now, but I'm looking forward to it.
Before we get in the extra power, I think too, it's so huge. You guys actually got a fucking wide receiver. I can't stress that enough about every.
But exactly the right kind of wide receiver. Exactly the right kind of guy.
He's not a full number one. He's not going to always demand the ball, but he's going to be able to make the big plays when you need him.
But our wide receiver room is looking like very respectable. If Claypool can like hit his upside, and if guys
like Claypool too.
Yeah, and like Cole Kmet, if he can keep playing the way he's playing, I think we did smart things at running back. We seem to be able to go get running backs nobody else wants, and they turn out to be good. So, like Khalil Herbert will be our running back one, but we have guys backing him up that are just as good. So, I'm looking forward to the skill positions too, to be honest with you, because it's not necessarily Justin Fields' no excuse season. We're probably one season away from that, but you're going to learn a lot about who he's going to be. A lot. You'll probably be able to make the call this year, to be honest.
I think it's so crazy how many teams actually think that they can expect a quarterback to take them to the promised land without fucking wide receivers. It's the most blasphemous.
I mean, you said it about Josh Allen, right? Like, look at his numbers.
It's so
he
fucking
got
crazy,
Stefon
man.
Diggs. I'm not saying that DJ Moore is Stefon Diggs, but like, you have to give them the tools
something
to win or lose. What was my siren song? What was the thing I cried about every fucking week? I just want to win or lose on the merit of the guy. I want to win or lose on Justin Fields, like on his head, be it. You know what I mean? Because if you start to work around your QB and you start trying to figure out ways to win without him, or not like relying on him to win you the game, then you're not going to win anything. It's just the way that this fucking league works.
Yeah.
It just is. So yeah, I mean, maybe there's some game managers that have been in attendance of a Super Bowl, but they're not winners. So.
Hopefully that's the first of many Bears talks this year, because I really like this team.
Sorry, they've been building. It's been
listen, I get it. I get it. So now after an hour and a half of excited football talk from 3 giddy, just beyond excited football fans.
Oh, do we get to decide on number 10 for the power rankings?
Yeah, we're finally at the top 10. Okay, kind of. So we have a decision to make for number 10 here. I actually left out the Giants. I forgot to put them here. The Giants are one of them. So Giants, Jets, Chargers, Seahawks, Vikings. That's for the final spot in the power rankings. Who makes it? Who reaches the gory land for the first preseason? Give me you guys' best pitches Give me one team who you think should go in. You got 30 seconds. DK, go.
Oh, I'm going first. I'm gonna say that's tough. The Bears. So the thing about the Bears is, no, I'm just kidding. I'll pick from your list.
I love it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably would put the Bears at 10 just after I'm fired up about them now. But if picking from your list, I'll probably pick the Chargers. I think that they were the most talented, worst coach team in last year. I think that I'm not ready to give up on Herbert. I still think he's super fucking talented. I still think they have a lot of weapons. I still think that they deserve to start in the power rankings based on pure on paper talent. I know they underachieved last year and their coaching was abysmal, if we're being honest. Like players looking around, not knowing their assignments. Like it was really, really bad. And it's hard to root for a team like that. And I was, because I started out the fantasy season with Herbert on my team, but eventually made enough trades to make it to the finals, to the final game and lose again. But the again, we've only been doing this for like fucking 3 years.
That only took 2 hours.
But I'm going to go with the Chargers just because you said to keep it to 30 seconds. I'll go with the Chargers. I just think on paper of all these teams, they're the most talented.
Right.
This hurts me to say. I gotta put the Jets at number 10
because of Rodgers.
Rodgers, I thought they were pretty good last year. Now, obviously, they folded to us again because of injuries and just being who they are, being the Jets. But when you get a guy of this caliber, when you get Aaron Rodgers, and once again, you're getting year 2 of Garrett Wilson, you're getting Breece Hall back. You're getting another year with Sauce Gardner being a potential top corner in this league. Like I just think they have so much that they're going to throw it off of. And they're going to be the most energized they've been to start a season since they got Brett Favre, 15 years ago. So, I just think for that alone, I feel like they should be at 10. I think that Chargers pick is actually it's understandable. But I think if there's another team I could think of, it would be the New York Jets.
So just based off of what we've seen so far, I think it's got to be the Chargers, right? I mean, I really do want to pick the Jets because I love their defense, and I think they were a quarterback away for like all of last year. We said that almost every fucking week. If they had
everybody's a quarterback away. Everybody's a quarterback.
But they literally needed like someone who could throw the fucking ball. Period. It's the Chargers though. I hate fucking Brandon Staley so much. He's the worst football coach I've ever seen. He's worse than Jason Garrett, I think. He's well, maybe Hackett. Hackett was actually probably the worst, but he's one of the worst football coaches I've ever seen.
Man, we didn't even talk about that. Sean Payton better fucking deliver. All that shit he was talking, big dog. You better deliver this year.
I like it. I like it. I really.
I kind of like it too.
Wait. I do too. I like it too. But it's just like. You can't say that out loud.
Sean Payton's like, I used to pay guys to hurt guys.
Sean Payton, listen, Sean Payton is a huge hog. I don't know if you guys knew that. If you go to the NFL coaches, like they have like a get together where they take a big picture. PMT they were talking about. They zoomed in. He's right in the front row. You could literally just see the entire thing just sticking. You're like, no wonder this dude's so fucking confident. He's got a 9-inch just hole hanging between. That's Sean Payton for you, bro. But on that note, it's the Chargers.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going with the Chargers. Chargers, congratulations. You've been brought up in the same sentence as Sean Payton's huge hog for the first time, and probably last time this year. Number 10, the Los Angeles Chargers. And then so we'll just go right down. We'll go all the way up to 6 here. So 9 is the Dolphins, 8 Jags. I love that they're in the preseason power rankings. It makes me so happy. The Ravens at 7, and my beloved Cowboys at 6. I'm just going to jump in real quick for my Cowboys, and I think I was so close to putting them at 5, but I just couldn't actually put them ahead of the Bengals just because of who I know Joe Burrow is. But the upside of this Cowboys team is the highest I've seen it in a long time. Like since the triple-headed DeMarco Bryant Romo year, where it was like they were an easy top 2, top 3 team in the league that year. Obviously, they didn't fucking close the deal, as we never do. But the talent and youth on this football team, added with the vets that they brought in, just seems like it's the perfect recipe for a team that's finally ready to break this fucking curse. It really is, man. From Cooks, Gilmore, Diggs. I just think the Gilmore and Cooks deals are deals that Cowboys haven't made in literally the entire time I've been a fan of the Cowboys. They don't make these free agent deals. They don't bring in these vets like this to fill these roles, and they just substitute in these dudes like they think they're the Patriots, and they try and bring in dudes that undrafted, Dennis Houston and fucking who was that other guy last year? I can't even remember his fucking name. The wide receiver with the fucking dreads. But these guys that suck, and finally they're bringing in guys that actually can make a difference to fill these roles. So I just think the Cowboys' upside is higher than I remember in a long time. What do you guys think?
Well, I think you have potential top 3, maybe even top 1 defense, potentially. I think that you will win your division. I think that you'll win 12 games. I think that you did a smart thing by making those personnel pickups, like you said. I think you did the necessary thing by cutting Zeke. Finally, we don't have to have that conversation.
Oh, thank fucking God.
Tony Pollard, hopefully,
he's the guy.
Returns from his broken leg with the same explosiveness and efficiency and elusiveness that he had last year. I think a broken leg means very different thing in 2023 than it did in 2003. So I think that's very possible. I think that the Mike McCarthy-Kellen switch is a good one. I think that all that's true. And I still don't think Dak Prescott's the guy. And I think when I'm just looking at the rest of the list, and I think you have all this potential in the world and in a ton of different places. I think CeeDee Lamb is actually criminally underrated for his efficiency numbers, and the explosiveness that he has. I think he gets forgotten about a lot in the conversation of best guys at his position. I think he's top 10 at least. Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen. I just don't think he's that dude, man. I came to that conclusion last year, and I just don't. He has to become a different person. He has to come into this season with a mentality that he just has never had before. For you guys to be where you're saying you could potentially be in a blue sky scenario. And what I think is probably going to happen, Bobby, and I hate to say it, is I think you're going to win your division. I think you're going to play like a good team in the first round and probably beat them, and then you're going to come into the
49ers again. God,
you're going to bump into the hottest
goddamn 49ers.
You're just going to bump into the hottest team because of where you're at and what it looks like for your team every year. And I haven't seen anything that has dissuaded me from that point. I think the Cowboys are a guarantee to be the Cowboys. It's just the way it always seems to work. And I think when you got that dude under center, he just proved to me last year. I rode with you. I was with you. I was like, I love their defense. I love this. I was with it. But when you got that dude under center, I just don't think he's that guy, man. I don't. And the fact that he was the Ewing theory last year. Like when he sat out those games, like your offense started to actually look simple and efficient and properly run, and like your team looked defensive first and a team that actually could win a Super Bowl, based on the merit of their defense. But because of his profile and where he ranks, but he's not quite there, you're never going to be that. You're always going to be reliant on Dak to be the dude for you. You're never going to let your defense lead. You're never going to let your defense be the star as long as he's there. And he's not going to manage games for you and win games for you. He's just going to be that trick or treat quarterback that's going to fucking win big games and then fucking lose in spectacular fashion when he's not. Because it's the fucking Dak show. Like he's so clearly concerned about his numbers and his performances. That's the thing that rubbed me the wrong way that I finally realized about him last year. It's like, it's about how he's performing. In his head, it's about how he's performing, not how the team's performing. And I just, that's why he gets into quicksand so easily. That's why he can't dig himself out. It's because he's in his own fucking head, and it's about Dak. And I just, now that Zeke's gone and you can sort of see that the cloud lifted of that era of like those two guys and like all that, all that swagger they brought in, all that shit they talked in those contracts they got. I think you're
best buddies.
I think you're going to see that too. I really do. Because like otherwise, it's like, I hate to say it, but like, I think the Cowboys would have a better shot at winning a Super Bowl if they had Jimmy Garoppolo. To be like 100% honest with you, like, or some guy, some situation like the 49ers had last year where just the game manager can come in and actually do some shit. I think you got a great running back. I think you got great weapons, and I think you need a guy that can score you 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, and you can hold fucking other teams to 3 to 7 points a game. And that's how the Dallas Cowboys should be winning games. But instead, you're winning like 43 to 31, and the 31's given up by one of the better defenses in the NFL because they're on the fucking field the whole time. Because Dak's either throwing an interception or he scored too quickly, and he hasn't just like marched down the field. So it's just, to me, he's the reason. And I hate to shit on him. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just calling it like I see it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you'll notice that he was left out of my explanation of why I think the upside is so high, strictly based off of those big game scenarios. But Ray, what do you think about my boys, man?
So I actually, for the first time in a while, I have vested interest in what y'all do. Y'all drafted someone that I grew up with his family. His name was Jalen Brooks out of South Carolina. He's a wide receiver, was picked in the 7th round.
He's having a good camp.
Yeah, I know the biggest issue they were saying with him was separation, but I mean, listen, you can't teach how he's built. He's 6'3", 210. So it's like that alone was going to get him at least an opportunity. So I'm happy to see.
They also have enough weapons where he's not
happy to have you on board, bro.
He's not separating from their best guys, right? So,
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He gets a chance, he gets a shot.
Right.
Separation's hard for fucking everybody, dude. These guys are monsters.
Yeah, no, that's true. But so I'm happy that he's at least getting a shot. Once again, what you do with it is up to him. But I'm glad that he's doing that. But yeah, I mean, listen, the talent hasn't been the issue. It's just a matter of like, is everything gonna be put together at the right time? And once again, so it's not a matter of talent. Yeah, I'm with you, DK. I'm out on Dak as well. I have taped from him in the past, and I'm just like, yeah, like he's decent, but to me, he's no different than Kirk Cousins, right? We talk about Kirk Cousins being a guy that does stuff in the regular season, and
comparison,
it's just like that.
I know, but he is though, and it is true. We've said this on the show before. He has the potential for more exciting. Thank you. He has the potential for more exciting plays from time to time, and like he's got weapons that are like. But it is very similar. If you look around at the guys around him, he's got like top 5 talent. He's got everything he should need to succeed. But when the lights get bright, the Dak show ends in fucking tears every time.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't want it to be true for your sake, Bobby. I don't want it to be true, but it's just like, it's just what
it's so funny. It's so funny because I was so insulted the first time I saw that comparison. Like I was like, oh my God, but it really is, man. And this is absolutely make or break for Dak. If there's any, I would say
think last season was make or break for him, to be honest with you.
But like, this actually is though, because yes, for a lot of people, the opinion make or break was last year, but like actually with his career in the Cowboys and his position as the starting quarterback for the Cowboys, I think this is it, man. Because if you were to rank who has the most pressure out of all quarterbacks in the NFL on them, I think Dak is one, right? Maybe Dak and Kirk. It's those two. It's the same exact comparison because they have these good teams year in, year out, and they can't close the deal. There's no one else in that situation. Maybe Josh Allen.
I think probably for me, it's like he's starting to get that, like the doubts are starting to creep in, and that he's, like I said, he's consensus number 3 now, and I think that the pressure on Josh Allen is a little greater. But
okay, so Allen and then probably Dak. Dak is probably 2 then.
Sure.
Because if Dak doesn't get it done this year, he goes from a top 10, 15 quarterback in the NFL to who the fuck knows? But
the thing is, it's like it's talking about the difference between regular season and the playoffs too, right? It's like, I at the end of the day, like everything I said at the start and everything you said at the start is true. Like they have a good roster, a potentially great roster. They have a talented coaching staff. They are going to win double-digit games, and Dak is going to have a statistically top 10 season. Like that is all probably going to be true, right? But it's just that eye test of like, I don't know, like it's just, like at the end of the day, like if he's going up against Joe Burrow, like. I'm putting my left nut on Joe Burrow. Like it's a no contest. You know what I mean? Like
that's a fact.
there's a world where I bet on Baker Mayfield over him in the correct situation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about in the correct situation. In the correct situation.
That one fucking hurt, bro. That one fucking.
But the thing is, I don't think that Baker Mayfield.
That went down to the soul, man.
Hear me out.
That one.
Hear me out. I'm not talking about over the course of the regular season he's going to be worse than Baker Mayfield. I'm not even saying that like in a playoff run I'd rather have Baker Mayfield. But if Baker Mayfield like came on, right, for an injured someone in the divisional round of the playoffs against Dak and it was like Baker suiting up. Like I'm talking about the right context, like Baker suiting up.
Listen,
I can see it.
It's not making it better, bro. It
camera
hurts more and more.
The camera
pans
over
as
to
you
Dak.
talk, man.
The camera pans over to Dak, and he's just like, "Oh no, it's Baker Mayfield.
Oh my God!
I better get to fucking this up."
And then it comes down to the progressive commercial with him. Oh my God! That's like that was.
It wasn't.
That's gold. We
right,
I know there's more to talk about, but yeah, we getting on that.
I was hoping to escape this the first power ranking show without being depressed, and we couldn't even get through the first one without just fucking hitting my soul, man.
It's because I lost a lot of money on the Cowboys last year. To be honest with you, we're fucking dead.
I know, I did too. I was with you, man. We talked about it a lot.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I don't mean it to be personal. It's that guy really pissed me off last year, dude.
In the interest, I mean, so Dolphins, Jags, Ravens. Out of those three, who has the best shot at winning a Super Bowl out of the Dolphins, Jags, and Ravens?
I think the Ravens are so depleted, dude. Like I know that they got Lamar back and like they signed that contract or whatever, but they're so depleted. Like I just don't see. I'm surprised that you have them as high up as you do, to be honest. Like I don't think that they're the same team. I think that their championship window is closing rapidly, and I think that it's not Lamar Jackson's fault. Like I'll maintain that till the fucking day I die. I watched that dude play football. You can kids these days him all you want. He's fucking sick. So like whatever. And I'm glad he got paid, but. And, all that, all the ups and downs of that offseason aside, that's not going to help the locker room. But all that aside, I just think personnel-wise, they're not as good as they were last year. I think that they were coughing up defensively. They were coughing up leads. Like, it was their fucking job. And their job is quite literally the opposite. The way that they were losing games was, like, not a good look last year. And they have done nothing to make me think that that's going to change. I don't think it's a super well-run organization. I think if it was, all that shit with Lamar wouldn't happen. I mean, I don't know. People will probably blame Lamar. They probably will. Oh, he's a running back. Oh, he can't really throw. He fucking can. Like he just can. And he's really good. And I will defend him just because I watched him play football. So like just on the eye test. I was hoping he'd go somewhere else so that we could see a fresh version of him with some different weapons and a different scheme that could really take advantage of him. And I just think it's going to be the same old story. So of those three teams you just mentioned, I think that they're three. I like the Jags a lot. I like watching them. I watch their offense. I like watching their offense. I think that the QB down there might actually have some fantasy football potential this year. I think that he's solid. I think that people that were writing him off in the first half of last season were being a little short-sighted. But number one out of the three, probably the Dolphins. In saying that, this is a pretty fragile part of the power rankings list, I have to say. It always is, but it's fragile because at the end of the day, the Dolphins could potentially be one of the best teams in the NFL as long as they prevent Tua from getting sacked at all. So if he's healthy and the offensive line takes a leap forward and they prevent every single sack that they can possibly prevent, and he can start to go off to those weapons, because I still think he has the most exciting receiving core in the NFL. I don't think that's changed. Maybe not the best. I mean, we've talked about the Justin Jeffersons and all these guys, but they're so exciting. They're so exciting to watch. They're just absolute fucking box office. So I don't want him to get sacked. I want him to take advantage of that. But unless they have a backup plan, I think they could drop out of these power rankings pretty quickly too. So just because of his health, and I don't want to see him fucking, not be able to remember his fucking kids' names or whatever, because I don't know how bad these concussions are. It doesn't sound.
We don't need any more finger curls this year.
Nobody wants this.
I'm not okay with that. Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking brain damage, bro. Like that's
that's so scary.
And with everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin and stuff, and like the way that I think that most human football fans were affected by some of the stuff that happened in the NFL last year, especially DeMar Hamlin. it's like I got no interest in seeing that, man. I'm just trying to watch the sport. I'm trying to watch the spectacle. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody's future like affected long term. I know that's not like a very fun old school attitude of like he's paralyzed, ha ha ha. But I just like I don't like to see.
I don't
know
if that's old school. I feel like
it's that old Patrice O'Neal bit. It's the old Patrice O'Neal bit where he's like, when I played football and somebody got hurt, we weren't fucking kneeling.
We were
like,
pussies.
saying prayers. The crowd was chanting, "He's paralyzed." It's like, he's like, that's what the game was like for me. Now they're all fucking in a prayer circle. Anyway, it's a good bit for anyone who wants to check out Patrice O'Neal. He's wonderful. But after the Damar Hamlin thing, rest in peace. After the Damar Hamlin thing, and after seeing Tua get his toes curled a couple times, I just don't
and in the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly. I don't want to see that guy's health and future affected. And I think I think he could walk away right now and probably be fine if he's smart with his money. So I don't know. I'm nervous to see their first couple of games. I am, because I know that he's a competitor. I know that he's going to want to get out there and chuck the fucking ball and try to win games for a very good, probably the best offense team we've ever seen. Like while we've been alive on paper.
Yeah,
so I know he doesn't want to let his team down, and I know that it's very disappointing for Dolphins fans because he is better than anyone thought he was going to be when he was healthy and he's playing. But that offensive line needs to understand that they have a fucking more responsibility than any other offensive line in the entire fucking NFL. They really need to understand their job.
Like his history, NFL history. Like
and because I know what defensive linemen are, and I know what they're like, and they're out there being like, well, maybe one of us gets to kill him. So like you gotta be fucking careful. You gotta be careful with that guy. So
right.
So especially if they have to pay if they have to play a Sean Payton team this year. Where it's like, oh God, he might actually pay someone to try to kill you. So who knows?
Greg Williams isn't in the league anymore. So we're good.
Yeah. Are they playing Ndamukong Suh at any time? Because that's not
I didn't I don't even know if he's on the team anymore, but
I know, right? He's on I don't know what he's up to. Probably fucking running over kids.
Oh my God.
What do you think, right?
I mean, that guy's a piece of shit. I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
But is it okay to say like neither? Like or any? Like I don't think either.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. But I mean, but for content purposes, yeah, sure. Miami probably has the best chance of the three that you just named of winning. Jacksonville still, I think, a couple of years away. I like Zay Jones. I like, I like the fact that they picked up Calvin Ridley also in the offseason. I've been a long time fan of Marvin Jones Jr. I just think that he's not someone that's ever been a one, but he's in that TJ Hushmanzada
prototypical too, man.
He's a great two. So I think that he adds a lot of kind of like a Golden Tate type guy. Like you need that type of guy on your team. So yeah, I think that Morris takes another step, and they do some more damage this season, especially how weak that division is as a whole with AFC South. But yeah, like I don't think any of them will have an actual shot to win the championship. But it's like if there was one out of the three, it would be Miami.
What's really hilarious is we've been here now almost 2 hours, and every team that we've talked about probably doesn't fucking matter because of these top 5 teams, because they're so far and above. And it was the same thing last year. Is like we talked about all these teams for 17 weeks, and we thought maybe all these teams would come out of that woodwork.
Well, that's why we did that tier system where we would do the guessing game at the end, and it turns out we were right because one of them won.
And it's just these 5 teams to me that we're about to list off are the cream of the crop of the NFL. I wish my boys were a part of it, but I just think these 5 are 2 steps ahead of the rest of the NFL, and probably the top 2 are 2 steps ahead of the rest of the below them. But so we got the Bengals 5, Niners
that's
4.
Fucking so wild and insulting. By the way, can I just say, like, that's insane.
Who you put the Niners? You put the
First
Bengals
of all,
ahead of the Niners?
Give the rest of the list though. Give the rest of the list.
All right, so
I've had this gun loaded for 2 fucking hours.
Those two, I went back and forth a lot about. So Bengals, Niners, Bills, and then obviously Eagles, Chiefs. Are the 2 and 1. What do you think? You think Bengals 3, Bengals 4?
I think Bengals 3. Yeah,
Bengals 3.
I think Bengals 3, just because you can't put them above the Eagles and the Chiefs right now because they both played in the Super Bowl. I think Bengals number 1 seed in the AFC, home first round bye, home field advantage. Fucking Joe Burrow's bringing all the fucking homies back. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think they upgraded a tight end. I think they finally sorted out their offensive line by shifting. I can't remember their fucking names now. They went and finally got a fucking left tackle, a really, really, really good left tackle. They're moving their left tackle over to right tackle. Forgive me for forgetting tackles' names. I really do think that they're important too.
Bengals O-line talk.
But Bengals O-line talk. Oh no, they're coming for me. I think Joe Burrow's that dude. I think that he's fucking got all the fucking swag in the world. I think he's gonna have a deeper chip on his shoulder than he did last year. And I think that they're the chip on the shoulder team. I think that they're the you never can count them out team, no matter what their season is shaping up to look like. And I think they're the you never fucking give them any credit team, probably because they're the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that they're always a little lower on your fucking power rankings than they should be. And quite frankly, if I can't make the case for them being above the Bills on paper, because this is all theoretical and you can only go so far with theory, on paper, maybe you can make the case for the Bills, but the 40 fucking Niners, dude, did you see how they went out last year? They went out like bitches.
Yeah,
they went out like bitches. They went out. I followed them. I was with them the whole way. I was with them the whole way. Fucking sick defense, like a great head coach who I respect a lot. A laundry list of quarterbacks that apparently are just going to play great in that system no matter what. Running backs that they're finding at the 7-Eleven around the corner to come fucking break off for big numbers. I was with them the whole year. And then at the end, they couldn't even give the fucking credit to the team that beat them. They had to be like, well, we were fucking injured. And like, da-da-da. I hated their reaction to their fucking loss. That to me told me everything I fucking needed to know, that they are not above the fucking Bengals in my personal power rankings, but I don't make them. And that's half the fun of this whole fucking endeavor.
So
they were being such fucking bitches in the offseason, dude. And every word bad said about them in the offseason, I fucking agree with. They were being such little fucking crybabies.
Sometimes you have to talk about your trauma outwardly to realize the mistakes that you've made. And
Jonah Hill over here. Respect my boundaries.
I'm glad you got that. The 49ers are definitely below the Bengals. The Bills, I have a little tougher.
Yeah, because the Bills are the most on paper team. They're going to do the same shit they did the last 2 years. Where it's like, I don't know, on paper, like they got this good. But it's like they're not. They're fucking not. The eye test counts.
Yeah, so all right, so we'll flip the
Orlando Brown Jr. by the way is that tackle that they got, and Jonah Williams.
From
Williams
Baltimore?
is switching to the right side. Yeah, and Jonah Williams is switching to the right side, and Jonah Williams said all the right things about switching to the right side. He's like, I fucking love it. I'm gonna smash it. He's like, I'm gonna smash it. I love it. He's like, let's do it. So that offensive line is finally gonna be good because the left tackle and like that whole, that he was sacked so many fucking times still. Even after the Super Bowl, they didn't fucking figure that out. After that all-time defensive line of the LA Rams absolutely fucking tortured him, and he still almost fucking beat them. He still almost fucking beat them when he was getting hit every other play.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That Joe Burrow at your fucking peril is what I
that's a fact.
The only guy I think that has the mentality that he has is Pat Mahomes. Like those are the two. Those are 1 and 1A of like of brain right now. With that last generation finally kind of going the way to the dodo and Brady finally making his way out of the league. I think mentality-wise, that's 1 and 1A. And I think mentality in a quarterback is huge. When you're talking about these differences, minuscule differences in talent. Because look at Allen. Look at Allen. He's got more fucking tools than Burrow on paper. But I'm not putting him above Burrow. Are you?
No.
Because it's your cojones, baby. Your cojones are what fucking matter in this league. Come on, Bobby. What a safe power ranking
swag,
this was.
bro. Joe swag. Hey, I'm rusty, all right? This is the pre fucking season, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, so after all this, right? We're gonna end on this because we're literally at the 2-hour mark here. Does any of this matter? Are the Chiefs gonna repeat? I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are gonna fucking repeat this year.
I got the Bengals. I had the Chiefs last year.
The Bengals take them down.
Yeah,
okay.
I had the Chiefs last year.
I hear that.
I think that it's so hard to stay that good. It's so hard to stay that fucking good. And I just think and I also think Burrow a lot of the time. Maybe Mahomes did get over the hump, but he really does have their number a lot of the time. I think Burrow league MVP. I think 1 seed. I think all the things.
It's right. I'm gonna go to you on this because it kind of hits home here. It's possible at the end of this season that Mahomes has the exact same start as Tom Brady to his career, winning 3 out of 4, having a down year in between, and having
a
this
lot has to
astronomical
happen for
rise.
that. They have to like win a fucking Super Bowl. For
Yeah, but it's very possible. Like, listen,
Right.
the fucking Chiefs, I doubted them all year last year. And
No,
you know
fair.
what? I've learned my lesson, and I'm going into this season saying someone needs to prove to me that
Right.
the Chiefs are not the best team by far in football. Because even Eagles last year, right? They looked so talented every single week. They got waxed against the Chiefs. They got waxed, bro. And it's like even the Bengals was all their swag and all this shit. The Chiefs ran them out of fucking Kansas City with that. This is what did they say? Arrow or Burrowhead. That whole Burrowhead.
It was shaping up to be.
But it
was shaping up to be. Come on,
Pat Mahomes, man.
And I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything bad about the Chiefs. I mean, basically, Travis Kelce is a guy that they probably every team game plans for every single fucking week, and somehow he finds himself in 50 yards of space to catch a ball over the fucking top every single play. I don't know how he does it, but I'm gonna try and get him in fantasy again.
I'm just reiterating the fact that I doubted Mahomes a lot last year, and you talked me out of this doubting him ever again, and I won't do it. I won't until someone shows me differently. I'm not
doubting Mahomes. I'm just believing in Burrow. That's the distinctive difference right now. We'll see. Because the thing is, I said that to you after the first Monday night game that the Chiefs played in. Because I watched that Chiefs game and I was like, they're too good. They're too good. They're going to win the whole fucking thing. They're too fucking good. So I want to see a couple games before I really, really make the call. But as of right now, Joey, baby.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I got. I mean, Ray, last question for you. Do you see the path? Do you see the path to the Brady career at the end of this year?
I mean, well, let most people tell it that he's already there. And I think that's wild. But once again, when you've played as great as he's played, I tell people all the time, people didn't think of Brady in that echelon until he got number 4 in Ty Montana. So the fact that he's halfway there, and you already put him above certain people, it's just like that. I think that's a bit premature. But once again, the talent warrants it. So I get it. I do think they have a similar, start to what we saw from the 04 Patriots. Once again, that team won 21 straight. I can easily see that happening here. And the only reason why it may not happen is because they may have a game where they don't take it seriously. Because then that's the only way you beat this team, meaning with Kansas City. Like and they're like, all right, whatever. Like we were already 14-1 or we're 13-2 or whatever. They'll rest somebody and be like, all right, like whatever. Like it doesn't matter if we're going onto your field or if you're coming into ours. Like you're most likely not going to beat us. So yeah, but yeah, I think they find a way to dominate again this year, which is very likely. And like I said, they tie that. Then yeah, there's a new dynasty on our hands, and as long as he is healthy and upright, he's going to run the league, and that's once again not an opinion. That's a fact. So we'll see who's able to interrupt it. We'll see who's able to interrupt. Right now, like he's that guy. So
I just love how it's like if he wins the Super Bowl this year, he'll be the winningest quarterback of like this decade, and he has a chance to tie Tom Brady's first Hall of Fame career.
Right.
And then he has to go on and tie his second Hall of Fame career, and then he has to go on and tie his third Hall of Fame career. You can break into fucking thirds. It's like honestly wild what we witnessed.
Crazy.
Like now that it's done, just as like a brief thing, because he is gone, like officially gone out of the league now. And this is going to be our first season. Sans
weird. It's weird.
Not due to injury or whatever, but it is weird. And I will just say, like, just based on that, just based on like what Mahomes has to do just to equal his first Hall of Fame career is such a big hill to climb. And it's like, we're never going to see anything like that ever again, guys. So like, it's just Mahomes is great and all, but like and he might come close, but 7, fuck off. That's a wrap.
7 is so
fucking bananas. So, and the way he did it too, and with different teams, and there's just always going to be, and then comebacks, and then appearances in the Super Bowl. There's just always going to be an argument for Brady over whoever. So I will just say, like, thanks for the fucking memories, like, for better or for worse. I know I'm not a Pats fan, but like, thanks for the memories. Thanks for fucking setting the standard, not only for the NFL, but for all sports of what we now look. And now we're just in recovery mode of like trying to finally talk up quarterbacks that only win 3. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, the guy changed the NFL and sports forever. He was
Yeah.
fucking unbelievable. So it is weird to see him gone because most of my adult life and a good chunk of my adolescence, he played in the NFL. So, and childhood,
Yeah.
actually, now that I think about it. So my whole life, Tom Brady's been in the fucking NFL basically, and my whole NFL life at least. So thanks for the memories, Tom. Enjoy your divorce. Fucking crush puss, bro. Get after it.
And to solve my depression from earlier when, we said Baker Mayfield might be better than Dak Prescott.
Contextually.
At least we ended Tom Brady's career officially. That's been it for the first
Talk about footnotes nobody's going to remember.
ever.
You know how I know is I was like, did you? I don't even remember. It was last year. Sorry.
can't even get through the fucking preseason. Like, damn. That's been our first initial power ranking show for 2023. It was awesome. I'm so fucking pumped. Football is back, guys. We're fucking
week
back.
11.
Yeah, the power
Fucking
ranking
football
show.
season.
No, that's week 4, man. That's week 4.
Yeah.
Welcome back, guys. Football 2023. It's here. Missing the point. We're out.